Ahoy mateys! Welcome back to my channel. I'm your Captain Aso. This is Aso Tarot, and in today's pick a card reading, we are going to be looking at who is drowning in their feelings for you and why. So this is going to be a very juicy reading. We're going to go ahead and look at everything we are going to cover. So we're going to start by looking at who this is and what their energy is. Obviously, if you don't know who they are, maybe it could be someone that you don't know very well, but if you don't know who they are, then that may not be the reading for you. But then we're going to look at what are they feeling. So we're going to do two different sets of oracles to look at who this person is and the overall energies of what they're feeling. And then we're going to use the tarot deck that you pick to get more specifics. So we're going to look at how are they processing these feelings? Why are they feeling like this? What are they going to do about these feelings? And why did this reading find you? Because I think it's interesting to know that when we're looking at someone else's feelings and their energy. And we're going to finish off with ocean-themed guidance for you. Now, if this reading resonates and you enjoy it, for all of my yo-ho-hos that would like to get nautically naughty, we are going to Spice Island. And I'm very excited to go to Spice Island because we are going to be looking at some juicy, juicy things in this extended. If you couldn't tell, that was a whole build-up to be like, yeah, this is the extended part. In the extended, where we are going to be getting quite spicy, we're going to look at your siren song, which is just what makes you irresistible to this person, like what makes you so attractive to them. Then we are going to look at how they perceive your last encounter or how they envision being with you physically, if you haven't experienced that with them yet. So it will kind of depend on whether you have gone to Spice Island with your person or not. But then we're going to look at what they desire from you, what they desire to do with you, and what they desire to do to you. So I think it's going to be really interesting to like kind of actually break down what their desires actually are and like what they want to give, what they want to receive, and what they want to be mutual. So I think it'll be really interesting, and I'm really excited. We're going to finish off with messages in a bottle, where we're going to get messages from their higher self and messages from their 3D self. So we have a lot to do today. So with that being said, we have 4 different groups for you guys to choose from. Starting with the first group and the first deck, we are going to be using the Blue Earth Tarot, and I have this trilobite fossil on top. And then for pile number 2, we are going to be using the Spacious Tarot, and I have this Angelite and Serpentine Sea Turtle on top. And then for pile 3, we are going to be using the Prisma Visions Tarot, and I have this Ammonite, I can't remember which one it is, but it's one of those. We have this spiral rainbow guy on top. That I can safely say. And then finally for pile 4, we are going to be using the Mermaid Tarot by Dame Darcy, and I have this Amethyst Whale on top. Can you speak whale? I can speak whale. I'm not going to speak whale right now because I don't want to confuse the people that can't, but go ahead and pause the video if you need to decide which pile you feel most drawn to. Just want to let you guys know I do have a new candle out, and it is the Lovers, so if you're interested in checking that out, it will be linked down below. But definitely check out the extended if you want to get spicy. We're going to have lots of fun, and I'm really excited. We haven't done a spicy extended in a minute, so yeah, there is a lot that I am going to be doing today, and I'm very excited for you to join me. So with that being said, go ahead and pick your pile or piles, and then you can scroll down to the description box or the comment section where I will have all the timestamps listed for each reading. And once you have picked your pile or piles, also extended's down there as well, but once you've picked your pile or piles, I will see you in your reading and hopefully see you on Spice Island. Hi there, pile 1. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Trilobite Fossil and the Blue Earth Tarot, then this is going to be your reading on who is drowning in your feelings and their feelings for you and why. So let's start by looking at who this person is. Boom, a child. No. Shout out to anyone who knows what that vine, shout out to anyone who knows that vine. I feel like that's going to be less and less common. We have the bear, and we have athlete. Forgive me if I accidentally say athlete, because anytime I see the word athlete, I just visualize that South Park episode where Eric Cartman is in the business of college sports and he calls them student athletes. It's a very funny episode, and there's a reason why he says it that way. So check that out if you're interested. But do that after you watch this. I'm more important than Matt and Trey. So, anyway, you're more important than me. So let's talk about who this person is, because that's what we're here to do. This is definitely someone who I would say is a bit less mature than you, and also more surface level. But that doesn't mean that they don't have depth. It just means that they're less comfortable accessing it, and they don't necessarily naturally access it. With the child being here, I definitely feel like this is someone that knows how to have fun and how to be playful, but they could they could be like me, who's like, I'm just a 25-year-old teenage girl. Like, I don't know what happened. I blinked and now I'm like halfway through my 20s. And maybe this person is the same way, or even older, because age is just a number. Unless you're under the age of 18, then age is a number and you shouldn't be here. Please go have fun and live your life. I will see you when you're older. Anyway, this is someone who should be of age, as should you. And if you're not, you know where the X button is. But for those of you that do not fall into that category, this person is someone who's waking up to something more substantial and deeper. Like, they're on the cusp of a really big transformation, and I think that it's spiritual in nature. They could have, they could be an earth sign or have earth sign energies, Virgo, Capricorn, Taurus, so they absolutely don't have to. They could be a student athlete, or they could just be an athletic person in general. But they could also be someone who uses their physicality as a way to express their deeper emotions. They may be the type of person that's a little uncomfortable with sharing their deeper emotions. This is definitely someone that you can be in your like most authentic, innocent, playful, free, fun self around. And I don't think that person is like, this person is like that with everyone, but they're definitely like that with you. And I think that's partially because you've created a space for them to feel safe being that way. They could be very like physically big, or they could just have bear-like qualities. Maybe they give really good hugs, or they are very hairy or something like that. No matter what, though, I think that, you know, bear energy doesn't have to resonate with physicality. It could just be the energy that they have. Maybe they sleep a lot, you know, they might like to hibernate, if you will. But I also think that they are someone who is very fiercely loyal and fiercely protective of the people that they love. And they do use their physical strength as a way to soothe their insecurities. I definitely think that this is someone who needs to be physically active and well, we all technically need to, but not all of us have that get up and go urge, you know what I mean? I envy those who do. I can sit, I envy those who do. I'll leave it there. But this person, I definitely think they're awakening to deeper truths, and I would imagine that has something to do with you. So let's go ahead and look at what their deeper feelings are. Another thing that I want to say about who they might be is someone who is very dedicated to their deeper principles, and whatever that is. Like, if their deeper principle is Saturday is for the boys, not saying that this person is a boy, I'm just saying that is a very common saying for student athletes. And I'm not saying that this person is a student athlete. I just think I like saying student athlete. It's fun. Try it. Say it. Athlete. It's fun. You're never going to say athlete normal again. Anyway, I definitely think that this person likes to keep things light, and they have a hard time going more deeply. Like, and that's going back to they show how they feel through their actions rather than maybe explicitly express it. They might actually have insecurities around their intellect. But let's look at their feelings and like what the feelings that they're drowning in are, and then we'll convene again. So we have Just a Girl by No Doubt. Take this pink ribbon off my eyes. I'm exposed and it's no surprise. Don't you think I know exactly where I stand? This world is forcing me to hold your hand. We have Be More Selfish. We have Indecision. And The Thinking Woman. Okay, well, for all my non-binary homies out there, you're gonna have to address this card as energy. This is meant to represent a woman, it doesn't have to, but in this case, if for example, this is a hetero connection, then this could be directly related to you and about you. Or if the person you're asking about is a woman, this can represent their energy and themselves. So I guess just what I'm saying is that it's going to be really challenging for my non-binary homies because if you don't identify as either, go based on energy. If you feel you have a predominance of masculine energy or feminine energy, go with that. But if you're truly, truly balanced in both, then it can be anything. So the way that they're feeling about you is more so that how's the best way to put this? They are in a precarious position. And I think that's because they are awakening to realities about this connection. I think one thing's for sure is that this person is insecure about their intellect. And if you feel like they're intelligent, that might be really funny to hear. But, you know, I think it's really normal for smart people to question their intellect. And I also think it's normal in general to just, like, question your intellect. Like, we all have different forms of intelligence. And I think it can be really easy to put the forms of intelligence on a pedestal that we feel we don't have. And I think that in your case, you have a very analytical and profound way with words. And I feel like your person doesn't have that same ability. And I feel like they are very judgmental of themselves and judgmental of what they say to you. But also one thing that they've been realizing is that they've been judgmental of you in ways where they've discovered its projection. Because I feel like if they're older than you, I feel like they invalidated your wisdom and maturity because they were just like, oh, well, pile one's younger, like they're not ready for this. Or I think that this bear person, they assumed a lot about you that they're realizing isn't true. And depending on how long you've known one another, I think one of the things they've woken up to is the fact that you're not a child. I'm just hearing that vine again. I'm sorry. Not only are you not a child, but you're like, I don't know why I'm getting the example of like an Olympic-sized pool, but like you're laps ahead of them, and if swimming laps were the thing. I don't know. Well, you know, this is the ocean reading. We are doing water, so that is fitting. Thank you for that example, Spirit. I definitely think that your person also, I'm having a really hard time just getting the message. Like, some of you are probably annoyed with me because you're like, Aso, can you just stop talking about everything else and channel the reading? I would love to. I'm seeming to have trouble with that. And I think that's because this person is in this like avoidance energy and they're kind of wanting to keep things light. I think this person is really afraid of facing what within them has kept them from being more transparent with you. And with this Be More Selfish, I feel like this person is maybe, and I guess this is going to depend on your situation. For some of you, this person is feelizing. I just made a new word, feelizing. They're feeling and realizing. They're feelizing that you need to be more selfish with your time and energy because you've been giving too much of it to them, or one of their, like, I guess, like, codes of honor right now has been putting themselves first, being more selfish. And I think you really challenge that. I think that your person is waking up to the fact that not only are they getting older, but so are you. And the things that they thought they needed to be loyal to are not necessarily the things that fulfill them. And at the same time, they feel like they're not good enough for you, and so they almost want you to be more selfish and less giving towards them. I think one thing that they're waking up to is kind of how low their self-esteem is. And a lot of what they feel about you kind of has to do with this realization of, like, they have been humbled by your energy and presence. They've been humbled by your maturity. They've been humbled by your wisdom. And I think if they felt any sense of, like, confidence before that you guys were on the same playing field, so to speak, I think they've realized, no, you're not, because you've been growing and evolving. And, like, I think they've woken up to the fact that maybe they've been avoiding a lot of things about themselves that they haven't wanted to look at for a long time, and your presence and influence forces them to look at that. I feel like they have pretty... The interesting thing is that they're not really going into their feelings, more so the fact that their feelings for you are deep, and as a result, they're in their head about this a lot. Because I think that going back to this, like, code that they stick to, it seems like whatever code is in their brain, that is the truth that we stick to, that is not aligning with what's in their heart. And I think you're what's in their heart. And I think that they are very uncomfortable with that, because there is a part of them that is afraid of being open and being vulnerable. But also, I think there is a part of themselves that's afraid of growing up. And I think kind of one of the most comical things about this is that I can't say I know you personally. I'm sure I would be very blessed if I did. But I would be willing to bet you are very fun and very playful, and the antithesis of, we need to be mature and meh. Like, you know, I don't really think that's your vibe, but I think your person is projecting that vibe onto you because they see you as highly intelligent. It's almost like, I'm trying to think of an example, but it's almost like your person feels like Elle Woods and they're going to Harvard and, like, everybody's judging them and, like, they don't belong there. But Elle Woods is an excellent lawyer, and I think that your person is struggling to see why you're interested in them, why you even take the time to be around them, hang with them. And they also don't understand why you're so giving to them. I feel like in a lot of ways they feel like they don't deserve it. And I feel like your person is torn between, do I shut down and run away, or do I continue to face this situation between us head on? I feel like they're waking up to a lot around the fact that time has passed and they may feel one way, but they're not there anymore. Like, they may still very much feel like a version of themselves in the past, but the universe is trying to get them to wake up to the fact that they're ready to grow, they're ready to evolve, and they're ready to transform. And they don't necessarily know what that means for them yet. There's a stability to you that's very unnerving to them, because they're okay with being stable in their own energy. But when it comes to sharing your life with someone, because I do think that that's how they view you, as someone they do want to share their life with, that really confuses them, because I think that they never thought that they would want that. And I think that they thought that if they did want that, it would be even further in the future. And so they're kind of like, well, why would pile one even look in my direction? Why would they even want that? I feel like they're overthinking a lot. And they're also, like, feeling very, like I'm seeing the image of a kid wearing their mom's like high heels. Like, you know how obviously the shoes don't fit. It's like it feels like that for them. Like they're having to fill shoes that are much too big for their feet. And I think what they don't realize is that nope, those are actually the right size shoes. Like, you'll be just fine. But I definitely think that when it comes to their feelings, I think that I just heard the words hopelessly immature. And so I think that there is this fear that you're going to see them more accurately and be as disgusted with them as they are with themselves. I mean, there's a lot of self-loathing here. I think actually this person uses athleticism and physical action in general as a way to get out of their head and as a way to dissipate the negative thoughts, because they don't seem to have found a solution in terms of actually fighting them. Which they don't need to fight them. They just need to release them and affirm them as not true. But that's for them to discover. More than anything, I feel like they don't know what to do. They feel a lot of things, but they feel really embarrassed and ashamed of what they thought about you because it wasn't true. And I think that they realize the things that they thought about you were actually just projections about themselves. And I think there's some embarrassment with that. And I also think there is some awareness of, I need to get my shit together. It's not. And they really care what you think about them. And it really wouldn't matter if you were the most, like, it doesn't matter if you're not a judgmental person, because they're judgmental of themselves. They're going to assume that you view them through certain lenses of judgment. I feel like they see you as someone that continuing with you is a acknowledgement of the requirement of growth on their part, and an acceptance of that growth. And I feel like that's what this person is hesitant about. Like, you're wonderful. It has nothing to do with you, and it has everything to do with, are they ready and what do they think they want? But I actually, getting into the tarot, I want to pull like a specific card about their feelings, because we're getting a lot about how they're processing and dealing with their feelings, which is overthinking. I wouldn't be shocked if they're like stalking your social media if you have it, or if they're asking around about you, or if they're just thinking about you a lot. Like, their energy is definitely directed towards you. And I think that one of the things that this person is really struggling with is, like, they feel like they're losing something no matter what. Like, if they choose themselves, they're losing what their heart truly desires, which is something deeper with you. But if they choose something deeper with you, then they're losing what they perceive as control over their life and freedom. And I think that comes down to this person's distortions around relationships, because you should still be free in a relationship. You shouldn't feel like you have no control or that your life is over. And so maybe what Spirit is waking this person up to is the fact that they have wounds around love and wounds around intimacy, that and not physical intimacy. I actually think the physical intimacy part is going to be really interesting. So if you want to join me on Spice Island in the extended, definitely do that. But I think that the intimacy they're afraid of is emotional intimacy, and just the intimacy of like bearing your soul to someone. It's a lot. And I think for them, they're just waking up to themselves on a soul level, either again or for the first time in their lives. So, and I definitely think you've had an influence on that. But what's at the root of these feelings? Yeah, judgment. This is a transformative type of, and like I said, I told you, I don't typically take the judgment card as like objective judgment, but I do think like this is powerful, life-changing feelings. And this is Plutonian energy. This is the energy of, you know, birth, sex, death. Like, this is the energy of powerful transformation and evolution. And there is no, I feel like with you and them, there is no starting in the shallow end. It's just, you guys just dive in. You either dive deep or you don't get in the water at all. And I think that this person knows that. And I think that there is this like, can I give up enough control to drown in these feelings, literally? And I feel like they're holding back because they don't know. And I also think that they are projecting onto you their unresolved wounds from past partners. So that's important. But I feel like this person doesn't trust themselves, and they don't know what to listen to because their mind's telling them one thing, their heart's telling another, and all the information around them is telling them even more different things. So yeah, that's frustrating, and that's certainly challenging. So let's go ahead and start by looking at how they're processing these feelings. So Spirit, how is the Spirit person processing their feelings for pile 1? We have the King of Cups. Okay, so this is actually really positive. So they're actually more emotionally mature than I'm giving them credit for. But I guess maybe for some of you, they're evolving into this King of Cups. You know, the King of Cups is Scorpio energy. And so I definitely think that they are reaching new depths of their emotional feelings that they've never felt before. And that's the feelings that they're feeling for you are coinciding with emotions that have just been pent up in their body that haven't been released. So like, it's a deeply uncomfortable experience for them to feel emotions about you at all. I'm hearing, is there a song by Drake called Feel No Ways? Because I feel like that's a song that's coming through, and maybe that's their like the vibe that their ego likes to be on. But I feel like they're definitely processing their emotions through music. I think they're listening to a lot of music that emulates the emotions they have for you. But I also think that they're doing this in a very solitary way. Like, I don't think they're talking about their feelings for you to anyone. I feel like they're really focused on just processing them in general and giving themselves the necessary container and space that they need to integrate all of this emotion. It's like the emotion itself is so much, they can't even think yet about what a reasonable course of action would be. It's kind of like, you know, water that's moving really fast. You can't really see at the bottom because all of this sediment is being mixed. But, you know, once the water calms and stills, then you can see to the bottom. And I think right now there's a lot of intense emotional experiences that they are awakening to and processing. And I think some of it is just like really old stuff that they've needed to move through. But you are the catalyst for that happening. And so unfortunately, you get the gift of being seen until it's seen more clearly as the cause of these emotions. But you're not the cause. You're actually the key to moving through emotions that this person has had a hard time bearing in the past. They're definitely, though, gaining a lot of wisdom from these emotions, and I actually think that you don't really understand how deep their emotions run for you. I feel like they're very protective over you, and I think actually realizing that you have more wisdom and maturity than they do, whether that's true or not, that is their belief. Realizing that made them feel less capable of protecting you and of like being able to be there for you, if that makes sense. I think there is this belief of like, I can't believe I couldn't see all of this. Like, how am I even worthy of, you know, being by your side when, you know, you were a completely different person right under my nose and I couldn't see it. I think that your person is kind of going back to basics in a way where they're like, I really have to reassess and readdress what I think is true and what I genuinely believe about myself. So let's see why they're feeling all of this. Why are they feeling these feelings? 8 of Swords. They're feeling these feelings because they're meant to be feeling them, but they feel bogged down and trapped by them because I don't think that your person has a lot of emotional wisdom, at least in terms of how to, like, you can feel things deeply and act on it in mature ways, but still not be comfortable feeling your emotions. Does that make sense? And I think with this 8 of Swords here, I think that their feelings are only getting more intense the longer they avoid what they know they need to address. And with the 8 of Swords here, they've definitely got themselves all tied up in, you know, in their head, and when in reality, if they listen to their heart, it would make it very simple. But if you find yourself being really caught up in your head right now, I definitely think you're mirroring that with them. But they're definitely drowning in their feelings because they are uncomfortable with acknowledging them consciously. You know, you can feel things without consciously acknowledging them. And actually, I think even internally acknowledging them, but not doing that externally, still isn't acknowledging them. Like I realized like a couple weeks ago, I was telling just like my parents like stuff about what was going on in my, like what was going on with me emotionally. And I realized like, I'm like, damn, this shit has been in here for a long time. And I didn't realize like how powerful it was. And the fact that like just talking about it to someone else didn't have much of an effect anymore. And in fact, it was really easy to release. So I feel like your person is holding on to the negative emotions and just the emotional intensity. They're holding on to their emotional experiences right now and kind of avoiding them at the same time because they're afraid of looking at them. They're afraid of looking at them. They're afraid of feeling them. And they're afraid that if they do, then what they have programmed in their brain as the truth might be different. And newsflash, pile one's person, that's what's supposed to happen. But I mean, maybe not. But I do think that they are very resistant right now to listening to their emotions, and they're trying really hard to stay rooted in their head. And that's making everything way worse because everything is just building and they're going to continue to keep drowning. Yeah, with the King of Swords, it's like they may have a very powerful mind, but their emotions are not going anywhere and are going to keep getting deeper. And I think that, and actually in order for this person to start thinking more clearly about this situation, they need to move through the emotions that they're avoiding. It's like they're drowning in their emotions, but they're also doing everything they can to keep like a bubble around them where the water doesn't touch them. Does that make sense? What are they gonna do about these emotions? What are they gonna do? Yeah, I think that they are moving towards a decision that brings the two of you closer together. More than anything, though, I feel like they may need some encouragement from other people in their life, like people that know their heart. I feel like it's very overwhelming for them to share their heart with you, but with the Two of Cups being here, what are they going to do about it? They're going to be transparent with you. They may not be able to put it into words, but I do think at the very least they're going to be maybe apologetic for how withdrawn they've been. And if you want any advice from me, like, I think that it could be very helpful for you if you want to, if you ever feel called to just be like, hey, it seems like you're going through a lot and I don't want to put any pressure on you, but if you need someone to talk to about that, like, I'm here. I don't want you to have to go through that alone, and maybe just like let them know, you know, you're a safe space to talk to. I feel safe enough to be dorky as fuck, so, you know, you must be a really safe space. If I feel, well, let's be real, I do that anyway, whether people make me feel safe to do that or not. But, you know, I feel comfortable doing that in this reading, so you probably have really good vibes. And what they plan on doing about that, at the very least, is getting to the bottom of what's making them resistant to being more committed to you, and getting to the bottom of what about commitment to them is so overwhelming, and what about commitment to them is drawing them in. Because it's not just that they're like afraid of commitment. I don't think they're actually afraid of commitment. Like, once they're in a commitment, they're very committed, but do not do a shot every time I say commitment. Then you will be committed to having your ass in the ground. But they're committed, I think. Like, the idea of commitment is something that's always been comforting to them, but actually going for it is really scary. And they're like, you know, what if I do something wrong? What if I mess it up? Like, what if I lose you? And also, like, you know, there is that fear that I think every person has. It's like, what if this person is actually not at all the way I thought? Because they've already realized that you're not at all the way that they thought. or the way that they thought you still were. And they're like, what if this is all a facade, and then they're gonna try to, like, you know, trap me or keep me small. And like, obviously those are not things that I hope are not things that you would actually do. But I think what it comes down to is that this person had those past experiences. And so they are doing what they can to kind of get closer and have a dialogue with themselves so that they can hopefully have a dialogue with you. I think that their plan is, I don't know how much they will talk about their own inner experiences, but I do think they will be apologetic for maybe the lack of action that they've been taking and the lack of clarity they've been giving you. But I mean, with the Two of Cups, that's a very positive sign. And I do think more than anything, what they're going to do about these feelings is try to get closer to their own heart and try and get closer to you and be more open and honest. Like with this King of Cups, they want to do right by you. They really don't want to screw you over or do anything that they would regret because they're in like fight or flight over having emotions again. I think that they are just, you know, they're getting their sea legs. You walk differently. I guess, like, quick historical side note, way back in the day, you used to be able to tell who was a sailor because they had like a different gait from landlubbers. At least in a pirate book I read. And so I feel like this person is almost learning how to get used to the motion of the ocean again and learning how to walk differently. You know, if you're used to solid ground, you're going to walk differently. And I think that they are learning to get comfortable with their emotional self and realize that, you know, true strength and true power can be physical, but emotional strength and emotional power is very important as well. And you're waking that up in them, which is a very powerful and intense experience. And I feel like if you haven't been very forthcoming with your emotions, they may be very afraid that like they're the only one that feels that way. And even if you think that's silly, you know, unless you have think about what you've explicitly told them. Unless you've explicitly said it to them, don't assume that they intuitively know it. But let's ask now why this reading was meant to find you. So, Spirit, why was this reading meant to find pile 1, the Two of Wands? So this reading was meant to find you because it's clear that you really care about this person, and it seems like you want them in your future, or you plan on having them in your future. And I think that Spirit is wanting you to trust yourself more. And unless your gut is saying, no, I need to choose myself and I need to put distance here, do that. But also, I feel like, naturally, hearing Never Say Never by our Lord and Savior, Justin Bieber. And I think that your lack of faith in them and your lack of faith in this situation is hindering your ability to be honest about what you actually want from the world and from your life experiences. And I feel like this reading was meant to find you for 2 reasons. 1, it's telling you in general not to give up on your overall goals, but 2, to not slow down or revise your plans because you want to make room for this person. This person can make room for themselves. They're big enough, and they're also strong enough to catch up wherever you may be. But also, I don't think that this person, like, this is the hard thing about, you know, collective readings is everybody's at different places. Everybody, you know, and their person have different situations. So I can really only speak to what I feel and what I'm channeling. But in your case, I think that this came to find you because you've been looking for answers about this situation. And I feel like intuitively, you know, there's more than meets the eye. And a lot of people are only comfortable or are only capable of looking at what's on the surface and making and coming to their conclusions around that. And I think that a lot of advice out there about love is objectively really bad. And so I think that this reading came to you to let you know that whatever you feel intuitively, especially about the near future, you can trust. And I also think that what you genuinely want to manifest, what you genuinely want to have in your life, that is what you should be focused on. Like, and if this person has involvement in that, then focus on how you can carve space for them in your life. And also focus on, where are you uncomfortable with sharing yourself with them? Where are you not entirely forthcoming? And I would be willing to bet you have some assumptions about them that maybe you haven't seen because you've been doing your own thing, right? So I really think more than anything, this reading was meant to find you, to tell you to choose what your heart actually wants, not what feels safe. What feels safe will just feel that. It won't be exhilarating. It won't be what sets your heart on fire. It's gonna be what feels safe. And let's be real. It's safer not to go on a water slide. But going on a water slide is way more fun than not going on a water slide. So manifest the water slides and get your ass on them. And if you want to keep being on water slides, then you keep doing that. Just because there are other people that say, hey, it's more sensible to go on a regular slide, you say, screw that, man. I'll take your regular slide, find a hose, and turn it into a water slide. Like, I don't know why the water slide example is coming through. But what I do know is that you're being asked to be unapologetic about what you want, and also have a vision that's not required, that have a vision that doesn't require this person's presence to still light your heart on fire, but make room for this person's presence to be there, because I do genuinely believe they want to show up and they're doing the best that they can, but they're definitely stagnating. And ask yourself where you're stagnating in your own life, because where you're stagnating, you may be mirroring that same energy. So if there are things that you've been putting off and avoiding, I would highly recommend doing those things, because I would be willing to bet you might see movement happen between the two of you. So let's go ahead, before we go to Spice Island, finish this reading off. I feel like, do we want to summarize anything? I feel like more than anything, this person is drowning in their romantic feelings for you, and I don't think that they're a very romantic type of person, and I feel like this is a very uncomfortable experience because they're also having to deal with all of the painful emotions that have come from their past romantic experiences and their past, and in their past, essentially. And so they're going through the challenging task of feeling and releasing what doesn't need to be there, and also recognizing that what they're feeling and releasing is not necessarily it's not a point of reference for what is meant to happen with you. And it doesn't mean that their past experiences will emulate what's meant to happen with you. I feel like there's definitely things that they need to purge, but I think they're waking up to the fact that their feelings really aren't going anywhere. And if they deny this and shut this down, they're denying and shutting down a part of themselves. And you know what's really interesting is we have this bright sun here, and this kind of looks like a sun or a moon here in this Two of Wands, but this card is for you, and it's a lot lower than in the Bear card. And so I feel like, you know, your person isn't seeing the entire light yet. You have, and I think that you've already been consciously making room, but I think what you need to do is make room without expectation of outcome, rather than like for example, actually no, I don't have a good example. I think you know what I mean, and if you don't know what I mean, then disregard what I'm saying or re-listen to it again. I don't know. I'm just one guy, you know, I can only do so much. But with that being said, let's go ahead and look at your guidance now. Look at this ocean theme. I'm so proud of myself. We have gliding through currents. With a different approach, you will glide through a situation with grace and ease. Going inward and bringing understanding, perspective, or behavior into flow will help your dreams take flight. Yes, dude, no, this is literally what your person is going through, which is so interesting because it's number 13, which 13 in tarot is the death card, and the death card is ruled by Scorpio. And the death card is not about literal death, it's about evolution and transformation. And I think that in your case, you both may be trying to force something that just needs to flow naturally. And I feel like if you've been trying to force this person or hoping that you could just, you can't force the situation. You have to flow with what is. But I think in your case, there might be emotions that you're projecting onto your person that maybe you don't realize. And maybe you're projecting frustration onto them. So I would be discerning about that. We also have metamorphosis, embrace transformation. Things are now different. Yes, especially if there's like painful past experiences between the two of you. I really do think both of you have grown and evolved since then. And you're being continued to keep leaning into these evolutions and this growth, because no matter what, the versions of you that are meant to step into this Two of Cups energy, you're both transforming into it right now. And your person's going through that, and they're drowning in a lot of feelings. And I think some of the feelings they're drowning in are shame and embarrassment of just like who they were in their past, which is like such a mood. I think we all feel that to a degree. And I think a lot of that doesn't even have anything to do with you. And unless they have done things to you that they would objectively be embarrassed and ashamed of, which in that case, take that. But I do think that, like, more than anything, they are, what's the best way to put this? They are in the throes of transformation, and it's very uncomfortable. And so they may be less available or a little bit more withdrawn than they typically are, but that is not a sign that something's wrong. It's a sign that things are changing and things are headed in the right direction. But don't be afraid to do things differently. Don't be afraid to do things towards this person that are out of character for you. If it feels right in your heart, trust it. Especially if it feels right in your heart and scares the shit out of your mind. Like, that's just your ego being afraid. So really, really put those things to the test. You'll realize that there's a lot more that you can do than you think. But we also have waves of change. Okay, yeah, I don't think this could be any more clear that, like, both of you are going through a lot of changes right now. And this situation is changing. And I think it's changing for the positive. And not only that, but if you want this situation to change, focus on how you can change individually, and also how you can change your approach with this person. You know, if you always wait for them to reach out to you, maybe that's something, you know, that could also impact their ability to believe that you're into them. Like, if they're always the one reaching out, you know what I mean? But vice versa, if you're always the one reaching out, maybe you need to give yourself more time to just let them come to you. Maybe you have to learn to trust that they will. Like, just take a look at what approaches haven't been working for you and what approaches are unfulfilling and unsatisfying, and ask yourself how you can do those differently. But finally, we have surrender to what is. Flow with what is instead of fighting it. Yes, when you can't change a situation, compassionately accepting it as it is will bring you peace. And even just that acceptance, ooh, look at how similar these two cards are. Like, accept the fact that what you desire with this person, it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I do think that whatever is meant to happen between you and this person, like, it's already happening. And the more you let go of how you think that's supposed to look like, the more the universe can actually get to work, and the more you can be aware of what you're actually supposed to be doing. Things are different. Do not judge yourself or compare yourself or past versions of yourself or past versions of this person to who you both are now, because you are both different, and you will continue to be. So I hope you didn't watch this entire reading and then be like, well, my person's the exact same as they've always been. Well, I don't know if this is your reading, or I feel like your person is meant to transform before you two come together. But I feel like your person, like, part of the reason why they're drowning right now is because they cannot escape the waters and fires of transformation, and that's really challenging, and I bet you can relate to that too. So, you know, whether you can literally send your person compassion or send them compassion in whatever way works for you, I think they would really appreciate that. But, you know, more than anything, things are changing here. The more you embrace change in your individual life, the more you're going to see change in this connection too. So pile one, we are going to head over to the extended, where we are going to be looking at the 18+ components of this connection. Feel free to check that out, link down below. And I have everything that's in there in the intro, but it's going to be very fun. So if you want to check that out, feel free. But if you are leaving me here, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting me read for you. If you would, and thank you for so much, I can't fucking talk. Thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else, because that is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show appreciation and support for me and my channel. So thank you to everyone who does that. But if you would like to in other ways, the extended, super helpful. My candles, be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. I'm currently using the Archangel Michael candle. Every single candle on Angelic Magic 888 site works with that discount code. And I also have my new Lovers candle out, so be sure to check her out. What else? I have my social media and merch, and I think that's it. But that's all I have for you guys. So thank you so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 2. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Serpentine and Angelite Sea Turtle and the Spacious Tarot, then this is going to be your reading on who is drowning in their feelings for you. So if you want a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro, but we're going to start off. Oh, I just smelled like something really weird. It smells like burning. Am I burning something? There is danger of that happening, but no. I think this person, one or both of you, may feel burned. But then also, like, I'm just hearing Fire Burnin' by, is it Sean Kingston? I don't know. That gives me, like, war flashbacks to middle school dances, but let's look at who this person is now. Okay, to start, we have the life of the party. I'm like, I smell something burning, and I'm, like, actually worried that I set something on fire, but I don't think I did, because there would be smoke. So I just smell it. Weird. We have Fire Ant. And we have Knight, Loyalty, Romance, and Chivalry, a love of honor. Oh, well, I guess these are the cards. This is who. I was about to lay down the feelings, but we don't need to lay that down yet. We just need to talk about who this person is. So I definitely think, well, if I felt called to, I might as well. Let's just do all of it. Maybe I'll like it better this way. So their feelings for you are, what do you want? We have Heaven's Only Wishful by Mormor. Close your eyes and see it through. Chaos comes and collects the youth. I can feel the cold air when the night comes. Heaven's Only Wishful. And Door to Spirit. Okay. Yeah, it's really interesting that you guys picked like the Spacious Tarot, because I definitely think there is space and distance between you and this person. And I think that whatever happened between you and them, like there was some sort of loyalty, romance, and love between the two of you that is not here for whatever reason. I would like to stress before I even get into this that I am not talking about or channeling anyone that has been abusive to you or has treated you in a way that is unfair, unkind, undeserving. Obviously, people that even have our best interests can do that every now and then, but someone with a chronic pattern of behavior of that, not channeling them. And you don't even need to hear anything about them anyway. But I'm just letting you know now that if anything I say sounds like someone from your past that was abusive to you, I am not talking about them at all, never will be, and to not watch a reading if it reminds you of that, because the only thing you need to do is heal from that and not put yourself in a position where you have to even humor or think about things like that if you don't want to. So, and you probably shouldn't want to. So with that disclaimer out of the way, I definitely think that no matter what, this is someone who is struggling a lot more than they're letting on. In fact, I feel like they might be overcompensating and trying to make it seem like they're not bothered by what has transpired between the two of you, but they are very bothered. They are hot and bothered, which actually makes a lot of sense, because before I even started your reading, I was just like getting pissed off for like no reason, which like I'm an Aries stellium, so I just do that naturally. And so I thought it was just me like thinking about, I think about Nestle, and then I immediately just am filled with rage. If you want to know how evil they are, yeah, fuck Nestle. All my homies hate Nestle. Anyway. Yeah, see, like, 0.2 seconds, I can find something that fills me with rage. So, I didn't think it was, I thought it was just me. But, no, your person is very angry. That's one of the feelings. But they're stewing over whatever happened between the two of you. And, like, there's less indication of who this person is, because if this reading is meant for you, you know who it is. Like, you're either just recently you guys went through an ending, or you rejected this person, or you and them, for whatever reason, have created distance and space between the two of you. Things were at one point good, and they are not now. Your person is definitely pretending like everything's okay, but they're stewing over this situation. And for some of you, the reason why there's distance could be their fault. And so if that's the case, there's definitely a lot of anger at themselves and deep anger. If this person lost someone important to them, like I'm hearing specifically a father, the shame and anger runs even more deeply. Well, I guess their father doesn't have to have passed away, but like they could have very strong morals that were instilled in them from their father or a fatherly figure, parent in general, but somebody that has high expectations of them and has always held them to high standards. And whatever they did with you, they didn't meet their own standards and code. And that upsets them even more. I feel this really remorseful energy of like, I can't believe I was so stupid. I can't believe maybe they took you for granted. And the reason why I get so passionate about saying, like, if this is an ABUSIVE person, I'm not, like, I don't give a FUCK whether they're remorseful or not. They can go FUCKOFF because you don't deserve treatment like that. So just making that clear. But, you know, you don't have to be that extreme in order to mess up and you know. And so I think for the people that this is for, this is definitely someone who maybe took you for granted or violated your boundaries in a way that you weren't okay with, or did something that really bothered you or broke your trust and made you feel like you couldn't be around them, or made you feel like you needed distance or needed space, or you rejected them, something like that. But there is a connection between the two of you, and whether it's only more powerful on their end or if it's mutually powerful and you had to honor your own set of standards in order to, and in doing that, maybe you had to reject this person or push them away or put a stop to things. I definitely think they're really struggling with that, but I don't think you made the wrong decision in doing that, because I think that they needed to see the consequences of their actions. With the life of a party, like, I feel like this person is deep in their fucking energy. And the only reason I was spelling out ABUSIVE is because YouTube might flag it, which is ridiculous. The fact that you can't even openly talk about that stuff. Yeah, really messed up. But I'm not in control of that, unfortunately. This person is definitely like stewing over what happened between the two of you, and they're like hypersensitive about it. Like, you could bring up something that has, like, someone in their life could bring up something that has nothing to do with this situation, but it's like, let's say pile 2, you love apples, and like someone comes in and is like, I made apple pie. They're gonna be like, why would you make apple pie? Like, I hate apple pie, and like go into this like dramatic tirade, or just be like apple pie sucks, but then like on the inside they're like mad. Have you ever seen that meme of like, it's like one of those really basic memes where it's like there's a guy wearing a mask that's like smiling, and underneath it he's like crying and angry? I feel like this is kind of your person's vibe. Like, they don't want anyone to see that they're suffering, but they are suffering. And the shadow attributes: allegiance to a destructive ruler or principle, romantic delusions. Maybe they had allegiance to a principle that was unacceptable in your eyes. Like, let's say, for example, this person, maybe you wanted commitment and they didn't, and so you walked away. That is something where they're like, what? Like, why would they walk away? Like, maybe they weren't expecting that, and maybe they had experiences in the past where people accepted that from them because they didn't have, either they were okay with that scenario, or they didn't have the self-esteem to walk away from something when they weren't getting what they wanted. And the fact that you did was very powerful. Like, they needed to experience that. I do think that this person is a little immature, but that doesn't mean that their heart's not in the right place. I do think it was, and I hope it still is. Well, I mean, we'll look at it. I mean, I guess no matter what, it doesn't really matter. I'm someone that always roots for love, but like, if you're not into this person, then there's really nothing to root for, right? I still root for the both of you to find it individually, but with the fire ant card being here, like this, your person's really sensitive right now, even though they may not be your person, they're your person in this reading. And I think that they realized they have very high ideals of love that they can't live up to right now, because they've placed these unrealistically high expectations of what they need to be in order for that to happen. And I think that they may have pushed you away, and they're really regretting that. Like, there's definitely an immaturity to them where I think that they did things impulsively rather than, like, I don't think that whatever happened between the two of you, that whatever they did to upset you, or whatever they did, if they did something to end things or to cause you to end things, I don't think that it was like inherently malicious. I think it was literally just like, you know how children just do insane things, and like, you know that no thought occurred when they did that. It's just they had the impulse and then they did the thing. Like, it's kind of that. But like, you know, it's obviously still going to affect you when it happens. So depending on whatever it was, like, it could have been enough for you to be like, no, you know what, I need space. And whatever happened between the two of you, your person is grieving over your loss and awakening spiritually in a way that I think that they couldn't have with your presence directly there. I feel like this person's actually going into their, well, not going into, but they're being forced to look at themselves, their life, their path more deeply. I think this person's actually looking into astrology. And if they're the type of person to be like, astrology isn't real, blah, 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 blah. It's like, you believe in time. You believe it's 3 p.m., but you don't believe in astrology. Or excuse me, 15 o'clock. Actually, I like military time more than AM and PM, but I don't know. Anyway, I'm a military time guy. Shout out to the military time guys. And anyway, they don't know what you want, but they certainly miss you and are grieving your absence. I definitely think that they may also be grieving like the loss of some lifestyle that they know they have to give up. Like, even though, like, let's say, for example, there's no guarantee that you may ever be interested in them again. They're still never going to be that way again because of how impactful this loss is. And, you know, I definitely think that your person is trying really hard to overcompensate and pretend like they're fine because they're totally not fine. I feel like they think about you a lot and they wonder like what you're doing, and they also wonder what you want from them. And I feel like this is going to depend on how much time has passed between the two of you. If there's been some space and some distance, they could be really curious to know like where you're at and things. You know how sometimes like one person will grieve a relationship earlier than the other one will? And then by the time that the one person has moved through the grieving process, another person is just entering it. Like, it could be a situation where maybe you've grieved this relationship and you're moving forward, whereas they're just now starting to grieve, or they've been grieving and they're starting to see the light behind this grief and the reasons and the reasons or the opportunities for wisdom that this experience has given them. I think they're really fighting their impulses to be a victim about this, because they're not a victim. In fact, I think for a lot of you, this person directly instigated whatever caused this ending in the first place, ending, separation, whatever you want to call it. So I think in your case, it's very like interesting to ask yourself where you're at and how you feel. But this person is definitely awakening spiritually and definitely desires a new beginning with you. But I still feel like they're in the throes of grief. And I definitely think there's a lot of unresolved emotion. Like, and a lot of that unresolved emotion has to do with how they feel about themselves. But also there's like this anger and frustration that like you were the one to make them see these things, because I think they held you in really high esteem. And I feel like they're kicking themselves over whatever they did. They definitely feel kind of dead inside. Like there's so much overwhelming emotion that it's like they're either completely detached from it or completely like submerged by it. I mean, I guess I was asking who was drowning in their feelings. They're like, yo, this person is drowning. Like, they're going through it. But this is leading to powerful spiritual wisdom. And I think what they truly desire is peace with you no matter what. Like, they want peace in the situation. I think they feel very angry and very frustrated that they haven't been able to communicate more with you, or that if you're a more spiritual person, I definitely think that maybe they're seeing things from your perspective more now, and they're like, oh, like I get this. And I feel like they're waking up to things that they couldn't see before. And I think that it takes maturing and losing the things that we love sometimes to get us to see these things. So I definitely think that they are drowning in a lot of like painful feelings around losing you, losing something meaningful to them, realizing the gravity of the situation, and realizing like maybe they didn't realize how much they would miss you, or maybe they didn't realize how important you were to them until they didn't have you anymore. You know what I mean? Which is a really shitty thing, but like, you know, it's true. Sometimes we have to lose something in order to realize how important it is to us. And I think in your person's case, they're also seeing things in a whole new light, and also seeing maybe how shallow and surface level they were being, and how petty they were being as well. Like, I do think that this person has a petty streak, and they're kind of in it right now. Like, I feel like because in their mind, like, they could easily be convinced that you don't care at all and you're doing fine. So they're gonna go to like great lengths to convince you that they're fine and they don't care. Like, if you've seen things from them that are very just like, oh yeah, like I'm having such a good time. Like, if they're posting on their story a lot, red flag number one, they're not fine. And that's not a dig onto people that post on their story a lot. Some of y'all just do that. But like, if they're posting a lot on their story about how much fun they're having, if that is something, that is one way the both of you are connected, then I think that they're trying to show you that they're not bothered, because they are in fact deeply bothered. But with that being said, let's go ahead and get into your tarot. This is a very interesting situation, especially because, you know, you never realize that you can grieve the loss of a relationship until you go through it. And man, that shit will knock you on your ass. So I'm kind of impressed that this person is going to great lengths to pretend like they're not grieving. And truth be told, they could also be grieving over like the loss of a family member, like we were talking about earlier. And maybe the loss of that is just making the loss of you even more painful. But I do think they grieve your loss, like the loss of you specifically, the loss of your energy, of your light. So we're going to start by looking at how they're processing these feelings, which, I'm not going to lie, I don't know how well they are processing them, but we'll look. How is pile 2's person processing these feelings? We have the Knight of Pentacles. So, actually, I'm a dick. I'm being petty. They're processing it better than I imagined, but also at the same time, though, no, this is Pentacles. So, I feel like they're remaining practical, because that's the only thing that's keeping them grounded and keeping them from literally drowning in themselves. I feel like they're working really hard to keep like the status quo and just keep things normal, because I think that if they actually acknowledged and looked at how deep like their grief is, I feel like they're not only would it be a massive blow to their ego, but like it would be a massive blow to their self-esteem and confidence, because I think that they're under this belief right now, which is a direct result of their ego, that they're fine, and that they don't have emotions, and that they don't need to feel things. That's wrong, and that will come back to bite them in the ass. But until then, they're trying to keep the status quo. I definitely think that they don't have as much energy as they used to. Like, their emotions are wearing them down, for sure. And they certainly don't have as much, like I said, energy as they used to. But I also think that they're, depending on how enlightened this energy is, for some of you, this person could be like going to therapy and like taking steps to deal with these emotions. But for others, they are using their material world as a form of escaping their emotions because they're not ready to deal with them. And I think that's the thing, is like maybe during the day, they're fine. And then once nighttime rolls around, they can't be alone with their thoughts. So maybe they go out, or maybe they do things to take their mind off of things. I feel like this is an energy of someone who's really uncomfortable sitting with themselves and being alone with themselves and being alone with their thoughts. And so I feel like they will take any company over no company, even if that company sucks. Like, I feel like this person is accepting company of people that they talk negatively about to you. And it's because that's how, like, they're scraping the bottom of the barrel in terms of not wanting to be alone. So that's interesting. Maybe I was justified in my assessment. I don't know. But I'm also so biased. Like, I love you guys, and so I'm like, wait, they hurt your feelings? Like, no, please give me their address. I would like to slash their tires in Minecraft. Not in the real world. I would never do that. I legitimately never would, but like, metaphorically speaking, I would. If I could do it and not get caught and bring honor to you, I would. Let's just say that. Anyway. Sometimes I just look in the mirror and I'm like, why are you the way that you are? I bet this person does too. Well, we have that in common. Anyway, why are they feeling this? I think we know why, but let's get confirmation. Why is this person feeling this way? Yeah, Ten of Swords and the Magician, because they caused an ending that they can't go back from, and it feels horrible. They are the maker of their own problems, and they hate that things have ended between the two of you. You know? This is not what they wanted. And with the Magician here, why are they feeling this way? Because spiritually speaking, they're just as connected to you. They miss you, they yearn for you, they desire you. And if they were, and this is all extra rich if you didn't reject them and they rejected you, because they're having to face the fact that like they rejected something that they desired because of some surface level or immature belief system about romantic relationships or something like that. Sorry, I'm burping. Yeah. And the fact that I'm burping as I say that, like, they had some negative belief systems around romance and affection and shit like that, that definitely impacted the way they behaved. And I definitely think that it's changed how they view things. But they're feeling this way because they're really sad about whatever ending occurred between the two of you, and they either know that they're the reason why this happened, or they feel like they are, and if they feel like they are, it's probably because they are. Also with the Magician here, I feel like they're feeling all these things because they know they need to. It's like you made your bed, you have to lie in it. But also, there's this energy of them feeling like it didn't have to be this way. Like, I could have just not done that thing, and then like things would still be fine. Like Pile 2 would still be by my side. Like, and I think that is what kills them. Like, and so I really do think that they feel it's important to go through this grieving process, even though, or well, They may not feel that way yet, but they will once they see the wisdom in it, because all of this painful emotion is causing them to see things from a more spiritual perspective. And that's a great thing. But it's like oscillating between that energy of like spiritual wisdom and then also like petty egoic immaturity that doesn't want to deal with reality. So it's like bouncing back and forth. But also I think that they're coming to terms with like how maybe their distorted perspective, just coming to terms with like how a distorted perspective impacts your behavior and how you can just walk through life unconsciously behaving in ways that hurt the people that you love and hurt yourself in the process. I feel like this person, this is the year of realizing things for your person. And I think a lot of what they're realizing is that they have the world a lot less figured out than they thought, and that they need to start taking things more seriously, because whether they take them seriously or not, serious things are going to happen. And if they can't take those things seriously, it's going to be really hard for other people to take them seriously. You know what I mean? I should probably take that advice. I'm not very good at doing that. But you know what's so funny? Like, I'm being so hard on this person because we got similar traits. I wouldn't say I'm exactly like them by any means, but I can relate with just wanting to avoid your emotions and just, you know, being angry at you being yourself. Like, I'm a self-sabotager. I can get mad at the consequences of my own actions. I think we all can, and I think we can all have compassion for that. And I feel like I'm being hard on your person, but that's also because they're being really hard on themselves. And so it's kind of just like naturally taking on that energy. So I apologize if you feel like I'm being too harsh on your person, but also for those of you who need it, you're welcome. It's a fine line doing readings like these. Okay. So what are they going to do about these emotions? That's really what we need to know. What are they going to do about it? Okay, we have the King of Pentacles. They're going to grow the fuck up because it's what they need to do. But I feel like there is a part of them that really, really hopes that your heart hasn't shut them out completely, because they hope they can be what they wanted to be for you and what they either promised they would be for you or what they thought they would be for you. They want to be a provider. They want to be responsible. They want to say what they mean and mean what they say. They want to be consistent. They want to be reliable. They want to be abundant. They want to be generous. And they want to be someone who can nurture others the way that you nurture people. And they want to be someone that you can rely on and that you can trust. And if you are unwilling to be open to that, then they're going to make sure that they never do to you never do what they did to you to someone else. And, you know, you can get mad all you want. Like, of course, they had to learn that with me. But it's like, well, if you don't have feelings for them anymore, why are you mad about it? And if you do still have feelings for them, they obviously want to grow and change. So forgiveness work, even if you're not ready for it right now, might be something you want to consider. More than anything, though, I feel like they're growing up, and they're taking what the universe is telling them, that they need to get more serious. They need to put on their big boy, big girl, or big person pants and get real and get serious and really start establishing themselves as a stable presence and a mature presence in their own life and in the lives of others. That their image of themselves and who they actually are have been very different, and they're tired of that. They want to be who they know they can be, and they want to be someone that you can be proud of and that you can trust and rely upon. And the only way to do that is to put their actions and their money where their mouth is. So that's what they're doing. And I think actually, if you haven't heard anything or heard any promises from this person, it's because they want to do the work first, so that when and if they do show up. I said when because I do think they will, unless the only reason they wouldn't is if they knew that engaging with you is a lost cause. But even then, you are still a figment of their psyche. Like, I will never do what I did to Pile 2 because, like, they will regret it for the rest of their lives. Like, they really will. And no matter what, they're like, I don't care whether you want the same thing as them or not. They want to be better for themselves and for anyone who is in their life. So, you know, I gotta give this person credit. Like, you know, there are many people who do egregious, terrible things and bend over backwards to justify why it's okay. At least this person's being honest and authentic. It may not take any pain away from whatever they did, but at the very least, at least you can know that, like, they do regret it, and they didn't do it maliciously. They did it ignorantly, whatever that means. But let's see why this reading found you. So, Spirit, why did this reading come to pile 2? The Star. Beautiful. For your own healing. And so, whether that is healing on an individual level, and if you're not interested in anything further with this person, so that you can know that, like, what they did to you is not because they didn't value you. It's not because they, like, were lying to you and getting off on that. It wasn't as inherently malicious as it may feel. Like I said, it was very, like, impulsivity got the best of them, whatever this thing was. But also, if you really desire healing between the two of you, I feel like this is Spirit saying, yes, that's possible. But that also requires your healing. And both of it takes time and it takes growth. And really, I think one of the most telling things, if something is meant to stand the test of time, is, you know, can you move through a cycle of experience with them, no matter how positive or negative, excluding obviously the outliers that are just egregious acts against another human being. You know, can you move through that cycle and return to a core frequency for them that is loving, that is liking, whatever level you're comfortable at. But with the Star here, this message came to help you heal. And if you needed to, if you feel like, and that's another thing, you're allowed to still want someone in your life that has messed up. That's what forgiveness is about. Dude, if we didn't have forgiveness, compassion, mercy, we would be in trouble. And that's why a lot of people are in trouble all the time, because nobody gives them grace. And in some cases, they deserve it. Well, I don't know. Maybe I'm not the judge of that. So that's just an opinion. I would not personally give Nestle any grace. But that's just a me thing. I fucking hate Nestle. Anyway. With the Star being here, this is about healing. Yeah. You really need to hear about my hatred for the corporation of Nestle. That's gonna heal ya. No, if anything, that probably will take you further away from healing. It's really messed up what they've done. And it's a giant list. Google it. You'll be horrified. But this message came to help you heal. And so hopefully it accomplished that. But if it doesn't, if what I've said doesn't bring you any peace or any hope or any healing, then this is not your message. Maybe you just needed to know that Nestle sucks. I'm serious. Google it. You will never buy a Nestle product again. And they're everywhere. Their fingers are in every pie. Which, to be fair, there's a lot of other terrible corporations, but, like, Nestle's really bad. Really bad. Like, I'm afraid to even say that. But then at the same time, it's like, oh no, what are you gonna do? Pollute the water? Like, well, not that, like, every corporation does that. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry that I'm being myself. I'm being myself a little bit too much. I need to rein it in. But that's where forgiveness, compassion, mercy, and grace come in. I hope you will extend those things to me. It's okay if you don't, because I'll extend it to myself. But more than anything, I think that this message came to you as a message of hope, that no matter what, whether you want this person in your life or not, things are meant to get better and you are meant to heal. And I feel like you needed to know that, like, this situation wasn't your fault, and, like, they weren't doing it to deliberately hurt you. And truthfully, like, they were not as conscious as you think they were. Maybe they were under the influence when they did this thing. I don't know. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but I do know that if you want forgiveness and healing in this situation, I absolutely think that's possible. but I also think that you should give yourself the distance and space that you need to work through your own feelings so that, you know, because this could easily blow up into something even worse if the both of you reconvened while you were still very angry with one another, and like, this person is a frayed wire, and so, you know, they will be better at being petty than you. So make sure you've purged those tendencies before you step into that energy, just because it'll have obviously the opposite effect of what you want to happen. And it can be very easy for something to like fall out of your hands once you get like emotionally fired up. Like, like I literally thought about anger and then immediately went into a Nestle rant. Like, we're so human. Like, we, you know, it just happens. And yeah, with the fact that we have Temperance on the back of the deck, like, patience is key here. Patience, and also not projecting your fears onto the situation. Just trust, go with the flow, and just know that whether you needed to know that this person does feel bad for what they did for closure in your own healing, or whether you want healing in the situation, both are possible. Both are meant to happen, and that's why this message came to you. So let's go ahead before we move on to the extended and go to Spice Island. Look at your guidance. So to start, we have blend into the environment. You have many skills and can fit into any situation. Take time to assess what is going around you and adapt accordingly. This might be just a message for something else, especially if you entered a new environment recently, like a new workplace or a new place of living. Have more faith in yourself. I feel like this is a lot of what this is about. Also, trust your heart, like, especially when your ego wants you to do something that doesn't feel right in your heart. Like, really honor what your heart is telling you, because you won't regret listening to it. We also have beneath the surface, what's really driving you, true motives, break free. So you both could have this energy where you're both like kind of avoiding the deeper truth behind why you might be doing the things that you're doing. But also, I think that there's feelings beneath the surface around the situation that you need to address. And like, they might not even be like directed at this person, but maybe just feelings of, you know, like, let's say, for example, when this person did something to you that really hurt you, it caused you to regress back into old behaviors that you're not proud of or that you don't identify with anymore. Rather than just shaming yourself for that and being like, it's so embarrassing, instead say, why did I regress back to that? At what age did that feel natural, normal, and comfortable? And what did this person trigger within me to make me feel that way? Because there's a lot of insight there and a lot you can learn about yourself there. We also have nurture yourself, which I think is just so on point and so true. One of the most important things you can do when you're going through a tough time and need to heal is nurture yourself. So, and it's through like going deeply and looking at yourself more honestly and seeing what's underneath the surface of what you're experiencing that you can get better at nurturing yourself, because you know what you actually need. Like, for example, you know, everybody needs to eat, but what we need to eat is very, very different. You know, what works for some is not going to work for others. Some of us are allergic to things that other people need in their diet. So it's about knowing what your body needs and what you need to feel nourished and what food is going to make you feel the best. And what makes you feel the best may not be what makes someone else feel the best. And so you have to be more unapologetic about exploring what makes you feel truly nourished and nurtured, and be unapologetic about making sure you get those things. And it might take time and experimentation to figure out what will work for you. But honestly, when you're not nourishing yourself at all, pretty much anything is nice and helps. And that's a great place to start. And then you can just build from there. But finally, we have surrender stress. Take a few deep breaths and exhale the tension you've built up in your body. Let the stress go as you come back to your center. So deep breaths feel nice. And breathing is free. Nestle hasn't figured out how to bottle up air and sell it back to us yet. So enjoy it while it's here. 502. Oh, I'm gonna move over to your extended now. I can't promise that I won't be angry about any more corporate entities, but I can promise that whatever comes through, it will be chaotic and hopefully entertaining, and it will pertain to what I have talked about. So if you want to look at the 18+ aspects between you and this person, I think this could be quite spicy and quite interesting. So I'm gonna move over to the extended now. Thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. And thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else, because that is one of the simplest and easiest ways to support me and show appreciation for my channel. So thank you to everybody who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, you like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates. Subscribe if you haven't already. Shout out to my notification squad. You guys are the fucking best. If you want me to see your comments, comment in like the first day or later. Cause honestly, if I'm meant to see your comment, I'll see it. I'm not constantly perusing the comment section, but I go back and visit sometimes. So you never know when I might see something. Yeah. Thank you for being here. Thank you for existing, and I really hope this reading helped. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, Pile 3. Welcome to your reading, and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose... Okay, I guess it's technically... This is an ammonite fossil, but apparently ammonite is what gem trade shows have called ammonite fossils with a rainbow coating, which I don't understand what the purpose of that is. I assume it's so that they can charge more money. Let's be real. But I could also be completely wrong and assuming bad faith. So, hi, welcome to your reading. If you also chose the Prisma Visions Tarot, this is your reading. So let's go ahead and start by looking at who this person is that is drowning in their feelings for you. I am tongue-tied. Goodness. Okay. If you want a full breakdown of the reading, there is one in the intro. To start, we have the last hurrah, we have vulture, and we have storyteller, ability to experience life through stories and symbols. The shadow attribute is making up tales that harm others. So this is someone who's a ride or die, 100%. And also someone that I think you either misunderstand or someone that feels misunderstood by you. This is someone who has a way with words and someone who is likely a very good writer or just excellent at what the light attribute talks about. Let's look at their feelings for you, because I found that I like having all the cards laid out first, and I'll just kind of jump back and forth between who this is and what their feelings are for you. So in terms of their feelings, we have Ecstasy, and the song is Euphoria by Senra. When I'm inside you, euphoria. When you look at me like that, euphoria. When you ask about me, euphoria. You know, you already know. Whew, okay, I cannot wait to check out, to go to Spice Island for this extended, if this is what we're starting with. We also have You Have So Many Choices and Options, and we have Door to Romance. Wow, okay. So this is clearly someone that has romantic interest in you, and I would assume you have romantic interest in them as well. I definitely think that there is a misread on both of your ends in terms of how you perceive one another. I definitely think that your person is the type of person who, when things are not going great for them or when they need to work on themselves, I wouldn't be shocked if they're the type of person to retreat and kind of contain and isolate themselves, which, like, mood. And I feel like at times, ironically, even though this person may be really good at words, they're definitely intelligent. We have a lot of air energy here. They could have a Gemini Mars. Like, that's one thing that just came out really strongly. But the air energies are Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius. They don't have to have those placements, but they could. This is just a sign that this is someone who's very intellectual, and I think at times that gets the best of them. And I think actually they might be in their head about you and about this situation, which is not shocking. The number 3 seems to be very significant because we have 30 here and 33. 3s are a number all about, like, learning, growing, mastering things. The Ascended Masters are seen here. And I definitely feel like your person is someone who, they need to do things the right way. And obviously, right and wrong are constructs that we put our beliefs into. And I think for your person, they have a very traditional sense of what's right and wrong. And I think that they have this rooted belief in themselves that there is something inherently wrong with them that makes them not good enough. Oh my God, mood. Like, I relate to this person. But don't we all though? Like, I think we all feel that to a degree, right? And I think that's part of what makes us so human. But I think in your person's case, the stories they tell themselves are very powerful. And maybe this is something that you've witnessed yourself, where when you hear this person talk about their perspective, sometimes you're like, whoa, like, that's what you're getting from that? Or like, that's how you see yourself? Like, that couldn't be further from how I see you or how I saw this situation. Like, I definitely think that their perspective can make or break a lot of their experiences. And when it comes to you, you are certainly challenging the sense of control that they feel, or their feeling of being in control in general, which I guess a lot of feelings of being in control are really just an illusion. But I think there is a particular story that they've told themselves. I'm thinking of the Hindu god Shiva. And please, anyone who is much, like, who knows more about Hindu mythology than I do, like, feel free to elaborate or correct me, because I could absolutely be wrong. But I believe that one of the things that Shiva does that he's known for is swallowing the poison of the world. And is it Kali, or I know there's a goddess that actually, like, ends up, that's not relevant to the point of what I was saying. The reason I was talking about this is because you know, Shiva chooses to swallow this. I don't know if it's an object, or, like I said, my buddies who are much better versed on this, like, feel free to comment and elaborate and impart your wisdom. But I believe he swallows some sort of poison in order to save everyone else, or just in order to get rid of the poison. And obviously he's poisoning himself when he does that, but he's also purifying the poison as he does it. And your person kind of gives me this vibe in the sense that they are a bit of a martyr. And when this energy is disempowered, it definitely seems like they feel like they have to suffer. Like, suffering gives their life meaning because they loathe their own suffering, but they hate seeing other people suffer. Mood, man, this person is a whole ass mood. Wow. But, you know, in the Shiva example, he was sacrificing his own comfort for the greater good of the universe. You know, he was sacrificing not eating the nice, how good it feels not to swallow poison. He sacrificed that for the greater good. And so when this is when this is in a lighter aspect, I definitely feel like this person is not afraid of doing the dirty jobs or the tough work involved when it comes to accomplishing hard things, or when it comes to making a commitment to something or someone. I feel like this person is actually very hesitant to go into commitments, because when they are committed, as this last hurrah card shows, they are so ride or die. And I think that they have come to learn that while it's a wonderful attribute, if it's with the wrong person, that ride is going straight to die, if you know what I mean. Like, it's very dangerous for them to commit to someone or something because of the vulnerability and lack of control involved in that. And so that is definitely something that they're working through right now, because let's talk about the feelings that they're drowning in. They're romantic feelings for you, ecstasy. Like, literally, I don't think words can do justice the depth of their feelings and, like, the passion. Like, it's very passionate energy. And I feel like this person may have confused it at one point for just, like, lust or extreme attraction or infatuation. But I think that they are coming to process and realize that it's much deeper than that. And in fact, it's only growing, it's not receding. But one of the things they're really struggling with is their insecurities when it comes to you. The fact that you have so many choices and options. This person definitely doesn't feel good enough for you. And tale as old as time, right? And they're really facing the challenge right now of, if the only thing stopping me from accepting pile 3, you're pile 3. I don't know why I didn't think about that. Oh, probably because I forget which pile it is all the time, but that's another 3. So March or Pisces could be significant because it's the number 3. Pisces season is in March. But I mean, this person is moved by you. Like you shake the heaven and earth. Like this is intense. And I feel like you might be like, really? Like this is what this person thinks? And it's like, yeah. And I think part of, you know, them being so like in love with you, like this person is in love with you. Like whether they want to admit it to themselves or not, sometimes it's easier for an outside party to recognize love when it's there. You know how often like 2 people will be super into each other and everybody else can see it but them? I think that can also occur on an individual level where like maybe we don't see how much we love something or someone. And I think that your person may be in a bit of denial about that. But their deeper morals and like sense of integrity will not allow them to make a choice that, one, allows them to let go of this situation without giving it their all, and 2, I just lost my train of thought. So I guess there's only one thing there, but they are dealing with the fact that like in order to choose more with you, they have to look at what is in the way. And so I do feel like this person right now is in more of an isolated place because they are really looking at themselves more honestly. And I wonder if you've played a role in that. I think that they are needing to shed their belief systems and really look at how their belief systems have created distortion within them. I definitely think you make them feel really insecure. And I think that feeling the depth of these feelings also makes them feel really insecure, because I don't know if they've ever felt something like this before. And I also know that this is the type of person who would rather suffer consistently than experience great joy and then suffer more. This is someone who is leaning towards, I would rather have loved it all than loved and lost. And I think that that's because this person hasn't accepted genuine love in their life yet. Like, even if they have loved people in the past, even if they have, you know, been in love with someone, it can always go deeper. And I think this is the deepest they've ever experienced. And it might not quite make sense to them. And they may almost feel like their own heart is betraying them and betraying like their protective mechanisms. But I definitely think one of the stories that they're telling themselves is that they need to be good enough for you, and that they need to be better and better than your other options. And you might be over here like, I don't even have any other options. But like, yes, you do, because in their mind you do. And so they could be tormenting themselves with that prospect. And that's not your problem. And if you do have choices and options, good for you. Like, you should be allowed to choose and be open to whatever beautiful things life wants to bring you. And I think in your person's case, it's like they know that there's something really special here, but walking through that door requires a level of vulnerability and responsibility that your person is consciously aware of. And they know they need to do some work on themselves to be able to receive and share what they know they're capable of and what they know they deserve. Because like, I feel like when they're around you, especially with this ecstasy card, like there's just so much light and joy, and like it just feels so good to be around you. And they are uncomfortable with the fact that maybe they've been pushing joy away for a really long time. And what does it mean to feel good? And am I allowed to feel good? Do I deserve to feel good? Which is so sad. Like, and I don't mean sad in like a patronizing way, but just sad in a genuinely sad way. Because yes, like every single person here, if you relate with that, you know, you deserve to feel joy too. And like, feelings are a fundamental human right. Like, You deserve to feel things, especially the good things. That's what makes feelings worth it. And I think in your person's case, it's like, you seem like the sun and they feel like Icarus, but they're not Icarus. They're another planetary body, or the moon, or the earth. Like, I feel like they don't see their own power and their own worth, and they see that in you. But I feel like there is this part of them that is intelligent enough to start seeing things more clearly and more accurately. Like, one thing I love about this Vulture card is that it's, you know, really like hazy and murky, but it's really clear up top. And there's this lining of purple, which to me speaks to the fact that your person is seeing things on a more intuitive third eye level. Like, they are seeing through their own bullshit. And with these, like, and I've used these cards so many times, but I've never noticed this in this card before. I feel like the rigidity of the lines really represents where this person is clear and and the rest of it is where they're not clear. And I think right now they're getting a lot of clarity on an intuitive level, on a mental level, on an emotional level, but how that translates physically, I think that is one of the steps that's going to come after they kind of accept where they're at and how they're feeling. Because I think there is part of them that doesn't want to accept that they feel this way, because I think that in that acceptance, there is an acceptance of the vulnerability. And I think that this person just really, really hates to be vulnerable. Mood again. Don't do a shot every time I say mood. Like, you will never have another mood again. But with that being said, let's go deeper into this and see what's going on. I really do, like, this person is really endearing and they genuinely want to better themselves. And I think that also it's important to remember too that you may not always, like, if you put them on a pedestal in any way, they certainly put you on a pedestal. And so if you do that too, I would really encourage you to try to stop that, or at the very least just look at them more realistically, because at the end of the day, they are just a person. And unless some sort of intergalactic dimension has YouTube, which in that case, hello, pray for the humans. Anyway, that's likely not happening. This is likely a human person. So I definitely think that they want to be the best human possible, but I think that in your eyes, like, you see them as the best human possible, and they're like, no, like, I have so much that I need to do, so much that I need to grow and work on. I have so much that needs to evolve within me. And they're genuinely trying to better themselves, and I think in doing that, they're not seeing how they're already good enough. But in your case, you might be feeling frustrated because you're like, they're perfect. Like, why aren't they just, like, why can't they just get over themselves and get over here? Well, and I would ask you, how have you not gotten over yourself? Like, what aspects of yourself are you afraid to share with them? Because I do feel like there's a mutual sense of misunderstanding between the two of you. Maybe you guys aren't the best at communicating. I've noticed, like, I had to redo the intro of the reading because I stumbled over my words so much. I mean, the intro to your reading, not the reading in general. And then even in when I started, I was like, I'm really having trouble talking. And I think that's because your person is, they might be the type of person to need to, like, write down their thoughts or sit with their thoughts until they can, like, find truth. I definitely wouldn't be shocked if your person is someone who just needs time to reflect and expand upon certain things and just move through things at their own pace. And I think that you both may be projecting assumptions onto one another about what's actually happening. And, you know, like, for example, let's say you're giving this person space because you can tell they're, like, moving through something. You might be like, oh, you know, maybe they're just not that into me. And then at the same time, your Vulture person could be like, oh, maybe pile 3 is not that into me. Like, they probably have so many other choices and, like, my presence isn't even missed. And it's like, no, actually, I think both of you really care. But more than anything, they feel like deep romantic love for you. And I don't think they quite know what to do with themselves. So let's get into the tarot and see what wants to come through. Because we're going to start by looking at how they're processing these feelings. And I did also want to mention while I'm shuffling, like, a big thank you to everyone who takes the time to let my ads play in the background or check out the extended or things like that. Like, it's so helpful, and I just want to thank you guys so much for supporting me. You guys are so awesome, and I'm just so grateful and blessed to have you in my life, and this person is too. So, let's see. Spirit, how is this person processing their feelings for pile 3? We have the World. Wow, okay. So, I don't know why. I just saw Dakota Johnson when she's like, actually, Ellen, that's not true. And I don't know why. But I think it's because I heard a voice in my head that was like, not well. Like, how are they processing these emotions? And I heard a voice in my head say, not well. And then I saw the image of Dakota Johnson going, actually, Ellen, that's not true. And I think that's because this person feels like they're not, like, their healing is not going very well, but they're actually doing a great job. Like, with the World card being here, they're closing out a very significant cycle in their life. And actually, I think that they're tying up important loose ends that they've needed to address for a long time. But, like, you are the catalyst to get them to finally look at that. They're expanding in a very powerful way and reaching a cycle of completion in their life that's making space for something new and something more. I don't know how long you've known one another, but I think that this person is trying to hold back, like, how deep these emotions are, but they're not going anywhere. And depending on how long you've known them, they may have reached this surrendered point of acceptance of the fact that their feelings are not going anywhere. But there's nuance within that. Just because they have those feelings doesn't mean they have to act on them. So it's like, well, if I have these feelings, I consciously acknowledge that, but what if pile 3 doesn't feel the same way? What if I act on this and then everything explodes in my face? Like, they're coming to a cycle of awareness where they are realizing, like, it's time to grow up in certain ways, like, or it's just time for the next phase. Like, I wouldn't even call it growing up. I would call it, you know, just finding a bigger shell. Like, you know how a hermit crab, like, needs to find new shells after a while? It's kind of like that. Like, but I also think one of the things that they're letting go of is certain protective mechanisms that have kept love out. And I think that's one big thing that they're working on right now. But they also, I feel, are processing this through exploring. They could literally be traveling or traveling, like, on, or like digitally traveling. Like, maybe they are exploring a lot of environments or learning about different cultures or things like that as a way to kind of get more context for what they might be going through. I feel like this person is coming to a realization that, you know, not all like, a lot of wisdom cannot be accessed in logical ways. It must be accessed through experience and through presence. But if it's not coming from you, you can also really benefit from the wisdom of the people that have come before. So I wouldn't be shocked if they're like, if they're talking to their elders, or if they're talking to, you know, therapist, counselor. I definitely feel like they are doing what they need to do to get help and close out a cycle of self-loathing and self-sabotage that they're tired of being in, because they know they can't keep up that cycle and also be present with you. Because if they're not open to receive what you have to offer, then whatever you have to offer is just going to be fuel that they use to self-flagellate. Does that make sense? So let's ask why they're feeling these deep feelings for you. Why is the vulture feeling this for pile 3? We have the 9 of Wands. I want to clarify that. Can we clarify the 9 of Wands? The 10 of Wands. The deck was really like, I said what I said and I'll say it again. Why are they feeling these feelings for you? Because they're supposed to. And actually, they're getting more deep and intense and worse because they're trying to avoid them. The beautiful thing though is that they're not avoiding them because they want to avoid you or they want to hurt you. It's just they want to avoid what's going on within them that they don't want to deal with. Why they're feeling these feelings is because it's just how they feel about you. I don't know if there is a genuine why. The reason why they're drowning in these feelings is because they haven't fully accepted them, and they're kind of weighing on them. I wonder if this person is really exhausted right now and going through a lot. So it's like the feelings on top of it are just pushing them to the brink. And I honestly think that's like what this energy is supposed to do. I feel like this person needs to be pushed to their breaking point. And by breaking point, I don't mean like a terrible negative thing. I mean like where they can no longer hold on to the illusions of their ego that deny the freedom of their soul. So with this 9 of Wands and this 10 of Wands, the reason why they feel these feelings so immensely and deeply is because they're carrying them without doing anything about it. Well, that's not true. They are doing things about it. Maybe they feel like they're not doing enough. But with the 9 of Wands being here, they certainly, you feel like a reprieve. You feel like home. And an acceptance of that feeling means letting their walls down and letting their guard down. And that's so desperately what the universe wants for them. And I bet you want that for them too. And so the reason why they're feeling these feelings is to get them to, well, for many other reasons, but on a utility level, what these feelings are doing for them is forcing them to look at where they're exhausting themselves unnecessarily and look at what they're carrying that they don't need to. And then also look at what they're carrying and what it might be trying to tell them. And also to break through barriers and resistance that they may feel around being vulnerable, sharing more with you, and being honest about their feelings. And this reading especially, I'm not getting a whole lot of energy from you. And that's not a good or bad thing. It's just a thing, so don't worry. But I think that's probably because a lot of what this person is dealing with and going through has very little to do with how they feel about you and more to do with how these feelings make them feel about themselves and what those feelings are trying to communicate to them. So let's see what they're going to do about these feelings. What are they going to do about these feelings? Okay. We have the 3 of Pentacles, so that's beautiful. They're going to work with it. I'm not going to take all of these because this is way too much. Actually, I just want to look at it really quickly. 7 of Swords, 3 of Swords, Page of Cups, Hermit, 10 of Cups. I certainly think that what they're going to do about it is, I don't think they want to share with you a lot of their darkness, at least not while they're in the throes of it, which that makes sense. Like, a lot of times when you're in the middle of something, it's really hard to explain what you're going through and what you're dealing with. And honestly, like, I feel like sometimes it's a lot easier to talk about a challenging time when you've reached the other side of it and you have like more understanding of it in hindsight. I definitely think that this person is not wanting you to see their weakness. And I say that with air quotations. I would use literal ones, but I'm holding cards. Their weakness being their vulnerability. But this energy is forcing their inner child to wake up. And look at how cool, like this Page of Cups goes straight into this 3 of Swords, 7 of Swords energy. So it's like, as their heart is opening up again, a lot of it reminds me of Narnia, like the Lion, the Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, where, you know, the White Witch, she keeps Narnia in an eternal winter, but when, you know, the Pevensies come to town, obviously spring starts coming back because heart's coming back, life's coming back. And I feel like what they're going through right now is kind of the process of what's shown in the movie and in the book. I haven't read the book in a very long time. I'm sure there's differences, but you know, the process of winter thawing into spring is kind of what they're doing about it, whether they realize it or not. With the Three of Pentacles, they're working with their emotions, and I think that they're going to want to continue to work with you on this, but not in a way that runs away with themselves. Like, they do need a little bit of time to kind of go within and address why they're so opposed to allowing happiness, love, and joy in their life. Like, the Ten of Cups is such a beautiful thing, and I think what they're doing is that they know that this is not something that they want to walk away from. So it's something that they're going to work on, and just hope and trust that everything works out. I feel like they would be more forthcoming if you ask them certain questions, but I do think that there is a part of them that is a bit hesitant and a bit removed from being very transparent with you about where they're at internally, because they feel a sense of embarrassment and shame about that, which, oh, if you can give your person a hug, please do, because I think they need it. So let's see for you why this reading found you. So, Spirit, why did this reading find pile 3? We have the Six of Pentacles. Because, oh, this is so beautiful. Because there is value here. With the Six of Pentacles, I feel like the universe wants you to not doubt the connection that you have with this person, and not doubt the fact that they want to give more to you. And just know that they're working on it. It's like the Three of Pentacles is leading to that Six of Pentacles. You know, the Six of Pentacles is all about generosity. And I think that, you know, especially if you're someone who doesn't indulge in readings like these very often, I think that you needed to give yourself that room and that space, because you're not crazy for thinking that there's something special here. Like, there absolutely is. But I think maybe if you are allowing your ego to tell you stories about what's happening and about what this person is doing and how they actually feel when they haven't explicitly said those things to you, I think that you could be holding yourself and holding this connection back, because you could be more forthcoming with your energy if they're receptive to it. Obviously there's nuance to this, but like, depending on, like, for example, you know, maybe even a simple gesture can just be like, hey, thinking of you, hope you're doing all right, I'm here if you need anything. Like, just little things to like let them know that you care for them and that you're here for them, because this person does care for you and wants to be here for you. And so in order to do that, they need to be with themselves and really face what about them needs to be addressed, so that they can stand in the intensity of this connection with you. And I think that, you know, I'm really proud of your person. I think they're doing absolutely what they need to be doing. And if you're really upset at them for creating more distance, just know this step away is bringing them closer to you. They're very smart in knowing that they need to work through this on their own, because one of the things is that even if they were honest with you about their own insecurities and their own shadows, you don't see them that way. So, and they know that. So when you disagree with them and you tell them how you see them, that's not going to shift or change how they feel about themselves. They need to feel that way about themselves. It doesn't matter how many people will tell you something. If you don't believe it about yourself, you're not going to take it on as truth. And I don't think that this person would be willing to take that on. But I would tell you that this reading found you, one, because I think that you just needed to know and hear this, but two, because I do feel that this person is going to offer you more in the future when they have the resources to. They're working on it and they're building that. And, you know, and really, I think that this has less to do with finances and more to do with like habits, behaviors, and just like working on themselves as a person, and working on how they show up and how they're there for others. It's really beautiful energy. And I think more than anything, the more you can approach this person from a heart-centered place and from an expectation of giving without like giving without an expectation of receiving, I think is always going to be the best approach here. And if you don't have the energy to give, don't do so. And if you're giving from a place of wanting something, maybe draw back on that. And if you want to give, but you're worried that they will be mad at you, maybe look at that as something that's not rooted in reality, and that's rooted in fear. Because I think both of you are dealing with that energy in different ways. So let's go ahead and finish this free reading off before we go to Spice Island with some guidance for you. So to start, we have diving to new depths. Yep. There is a deeper meaning to what is happening. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what is really going on. Take a moment to pause and breathe. Allow yourself to dive deeper into what it is you are feeling about the current situation. Because I definitely think that you might be feeling insecure about how this person is showing up or the lack of this person showing up. And you may be wondering, like, am I getting this wrong? Or like, are they actually not interested in me? And it's like, no, there's something more like, there's something deeper going on. And I think that if you're not already looking within around what maybe is creating chaos and turmoil for you in this situation, I think whatever you are telling yourself or you believe about yourself that is creating that chaos and turmoil, I think that's what the universe really wants you to look at, because it's surrendering and releasing those things that will allow you to see your person in the situation more clearly and take their behavior less personally. We also have Atlantis. Keep the big vision. Stay in alignment as you grow. Yeah, I think both of you are growing a lot. And, you know, the story of Atlantis, whether Atlantis existed or not, like, the story is very, like, important to remember. You know, it's all about the fact that they caused catastrophic destruction by not using their tech with care and wisdom. And I think that this situation requires care and wisdom. And the challenge is not to get to some destination in the future with this person. The challenge is to be present with whatever energy exists with this person in the present moment and do your best to be authentic to that. I feel like whatever outcomes you have that you're attached to, the core frequency of what you desire within those outcomes is what you need to keep as your big vision and let go of the minor details. But I definitely think there's a need for you to just trust yourself and trust what you're going through and experiencing. But we also have Shadow Waters, and I feel really called to read that card from the book because I would imagine there is some juicy wisdom in there that they can impart on us. So I just need to find the box. This is the Ocean Dreams Oracle, by the way. And the book isn't in there. Great. Awesome. Guys, my life is like a game of I Spy that I'm constantly losing. And I don't know where the book is. So I guess we don't need it then. So I guess I'll just have to raw dog this interpretation. I definitely think this is encouraging you to go into the shadows of your emotional realm. I think that with Shadow Waters being here, you know, there's a lot going on with your emotional experience right now that if you just sat with it and observed it, you'd start making connections about the origins of these emotions and the origins of these energies. Like for example, let's say when this person goes silent, you feel a sense of rejection, a sense of embarrassment, and a sense of shame because you feel like you're not good enough. So, okay, that feeling of not good enough, where has that been affirmed in the past? And why did I believe those things about myself? You give me the energy of a fish being judged by its ability to climb a tree, you know? You're meant to swim. Like, I definitely think that you're also being very hard on yourself, and I wouldn't be shocked if there's a lot of things that I've said here that sound like you. And I think that that is a sign that you need to realize that you and this person are more similar than you think. And whatever you are frustrated with about them, you have within yourself in some degree. The semantics may be different, but the core energies are the same. So I think you're really being encouraged to dive more deeply into yourself, because not only is that going to give you the opportunity to understand yourself more and have more compassion for yourself, but it also will help you have more compassion and patience for others, which we could all use more of that, I think, especially me. But finally, we have surrender to trust. Trust yourself and trust your decisions. Don't be swayed by other people's strong opinions about what to do. Take action and be confident that you've chosen the right path. Yeah, and I feel like really called to say you're not crazy in thinking that like there's more to this story and there's more to you and them. Like your person literally wants to write a story with you, but they don't want, you know, the story to be written with a perspective that is in lack or in fear or in doubt. Spirit really wants you to trust yourself and trust in this cycle and really look at, well, if this person is less available to me, maybe that's an opportunity to be more available to myself, and look at what am I seeking in them that really, because like, what am I seeking in them that I could just give to myself? Like, obviously there are things that we need from other people, like connection and shit like that. But like, for example, if you really want this person to respond to you because it makes you feel affirmed, it makes you feel good, well, you just want to feel affirmed and feel good. So how can you do that now and release the need to tie that feeling to your person's behavior? Does that make sense? But more than anything, you really don't have anything to worry about. I think what you should be worried about is just what within you is causing so much worry and how you can work through that. And it's okay to seek help or do what you need to do to get that, but certainly don't avoid what is asking you to go deeper right now, because there's a lot of wisdom there and your person's already doing it. So that's actually a wonderful opportunity for the both of you to bond through exploring your depths. I bet you both will be shocked when you share more later in the future and you realize how much you both have in common. So pile 3, that's where I'm going to leave this reading. Thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. And thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background. That is one of the simplest and easiest ways to show appreciation and support for my channel. So thank you to everyone who does that. If you would like to support me and show appreciation in other ways, you can check out the extended. It is 18+ and we are going to Spice Town. So, well, Spice Island. It's usually Spice Town, but it's Spice Island for this one. So I would love to see you guys over there. But if not, other ways to support me, like this video, comment down below, let me know how it resonates, and subscribe if you haven't already. You can check out my merch, you can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10 for 10% off. You can check out my social media. But I think that's it. So thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I really hope this resonated and I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye! Hi there, pile 4. Welcome to your reading and thank you so much for being here. If you guys chose the Amethyst Whale and the Mermaid Tarot by Dame Darcy, this is going to be your reading on who is drowning in their feelings for you. For some reason, I can't stop. If I accidentally say whale as Wahale, that is because I am thinking of a very old Whitest Kids You Know sketch about Trevor Moore, may he rest in peace, how over the summer he teached a whale to jump out of its tail. It's actually really funny. It's probably not 2024 safe, so discretion advised, but Whitest Kids You Know is really funny and messed up in a lot of ways. But Trevor Moore, he was an Aries king and will be forever missed. I don't know why that came through. But let's start your reading. It's funny how just like Wahale, like that, I have to go down a rabbit hole. But let's start your reading. Okay, so welcome to your reading. Thank you for bearing with me. I hope you have a whale of a time. You will if I can actually get to the fucking reading. So let's see who this is. We have the Devil. We have the Cosmic Egg. And I'm hearing Anti-Hero by Taylor Swift. And Avenger. Desire to balance the scales of justice, righteousness on behalf of society or oneself, and the shadow attribute is resorting to violence in the name of a cause. So I express the shadow of this anytime I threaten to slash the tires of someone who's been unfair to you. I need to do better about that. But I think it's important we be honest about that stuff so that we can grow. I care about you all aggressively, and I really hate when people treat you poorly. And I think this person does too. Because let's look at their feelings. So this represents who it is. These represent their feelings. Okay, we have the thinking man. Thinking woman came out in another group. So if you're drawn to another group, there may be multiple messages for you, or if you're not, disregard that. We have I'm too afraid to talk to you. And All My Friends by Great Gable, and the feeling is remorse. Should I drink another lie? Would it make it right? Can I call myself her lover? But all my friends, they say they're happy for me, but my mind traces back to all the harm I've caused. Wow, okay. So I don't think that me going on my little, whatever I just did was unfounded, because I actually think that this person, you know who this is. Like, if what I'm talking about doesn't resonate, this is not your group and this is not your pile. But this is a mirror, your other half, someone that you have a deep, soulful, spiritual connection to. And I would be willing to bet, especially if you're here, that you've probably been more aware of this, of the spiritual aspects of this connection and the spiritual nature of this connection than your person has. They could be a Capricorn. They could have Capricorn energy. Certainly don't have to. But your person is someone who mirrors back to you so much about yourself. And they are someone who's very hardworking, definitely an intense individual, like work hard, play hard mentality. But this is also someone who, and this is such a mood, holds themselves to unrealistically high standards that they can't possibly meet, and then self-flagellates once they don't meet those standards. But interestingly, what's happening with them right now, I think, is actually very powerful. The fact that we have the cosmic egg here, this person has either gone through a spiritual awakening, like the big one, the one where it turns the lights on, or they have awakened to realities about themselves and thus about this connection. This is someone who wants to do the right thing, and they don't always do the right thing. And, you know, and I hate even saying the right thing, because what is the right thing? Like, right and wrong are so subjective. And I think sometimes what people say is the right thing is actually the wrong thing. Like, I think a great example of that is, you know, the whole situation with Princess Diana and Prince Charles. Like, Prince Charles wanted, I don't know the whole details, but, like, essentially speaking, Charles couldn't be with who he actually wanted to be with. He had to do the quote-unquote right thing and marry someone, you know, who fits the idea of what a wife should be. And it created insane amounts of pain. And it happened, and you can't say that it was wrong or it was bad. It just is what it is. But, like, there's a lot of wrong things that we say are right, and they lead to a lot of pain. And I guess all that to say, you know, I feel like this person is seeing where they've been wrong, and also seeing where they've not been seeing things accurately because they've been projecting onto you, and realizing that, oh, I was wrong. But this is someone who wants to right their wrongs. This is someone who wants to be the best version of themselves for everyone in their life. This is someone who cares about others, cares about the person that they are. And I think especially this person right now is going through intense periods of an intense period of shadow work. And that's wonderful, because our shadows are the best way to truly understand ourselves, and we need to embrace our shadows to find wholeness. And what's really happening here is, like, I think that you and this person feel a sense of peace and wholeness when you're together. And this is actually interesting, because this has been a running theme in, like, all the people that I've channeled so far, is there is this resistance to accepting, well, I guess not in all the groups, but in some of them, a resistance to accepting lovingly positive, good experiences in their life, especially when it's with another person. So in your case, you, because they don't feel worthy and because they feel like they can't hold it or whatever it may be. But I think that this person has woken up to the fact that things they were projecting onto you as problems or reasons why they couldn't show up more or do more or be what you wanted them to be, which, like, let's be clear, they shouldn't be what you want them to be. They should be who they are and show up in that authentic way, and so should you. You know, we can't be attached to how people show up. That's conditional love, right? You know? Obviously, unconditional love does not entail accepting, like, abusive behavior or anything like that. That would not be unconditionally loving to yourself. So remember that. Unconditional love does not mean allowing abuse or anything else or anything that is harmful to you to happen, as that's not and never okay, and that's not rooted in unconditional love whatsoever. But anyway, I'm not saying that this person is like that, but I think that's just a common distortion around unconditional love, and I think it's important to talk about because you can be unconditionally loving and still have healthy boundaries. It's not about going full Pisces with it and being self-sacrificing. Like, you can sometimes some of the most loving things that you can do is set boundaries and do what's right for you. And you know, I think there's a big energy here, and I'm sure you would resonate with this. The both of you have just been doing the best you can with the knowledge you have, and I'm sure that has inspired a lot of forgiveness and understanding. But this person has reached a new level of understanding, a cosmic level of understanding, and now that they're understanding their role, and also I think if they've ever hurt you in the past, I think they're realizing the gravity of what they did, and like the gravity of what they did to you specifically. And it's like, it's the worst mirror in the world, because it's like, no, that is so off base of like who I am and who I feel I'm meant to be, but that's what they were and that's what they did. And so it's like they're reconciling with the fact that they weren't seeing as clearly as they thought. And now that they're seeing much more clearly, there's a lot of regret and there's a lot of shame, and their mind has been blown. And I don't think you've done a single thing. I think that this is the universe, and that is the true sign of like a spiritual connection with someone, is you really don't even need to be doing anything. Like, the universe will do the work for you. If you're meant to do something, you'll feel the call to do it. But like the connection still exists, and it's still doing its thing, whether you're interacting physically or not. And I feel like in your person's case especially, part of the feelings they're drowning in is the anger that they have at themselves and the anger that they have at you for existing, if I'm being honest. Like, and it's not that they don't want you to exist, but it's almost kind of that energy of, I love when British people say this, it's the energy of throwing your toys out the pram. Like, obviously Americans don't say pram, but I love that British people do. I think it's a fun word. Like, they're kind of throwing their toys out of the pram right now, because it's, you know how a child throws a temper tantrum because they're having all these big emotions and they don't know how to process them or communicate them, and they don't have the skills and awareness yet to be able to regulate themselves. That's kind of what this person is going through, but in the sense of facing the reality of who they were and what they did in that state of being, and knowing that that's so against who they actually are and what's in their heart and what's in their spirit, and knowing that not only did they do that to people, period, but they did that to you. And I don't know what that is. That could be different things, you know. Maybe they were dishonest. Maybe they, you know, made promises that they couldn't keep. Maybe they were not very attentive. Maybe they were selfish. Whatever it may be, no matter how big or small, they're coming to the truth that their idealized image of themselves and who they think they are was not matching, is not matching who they've been and how they act. And this is so real, because really ask yourself, how does that happen for you? For me, I discovered that was occurring within me, because even though my spirituality and like my spiritual side is one of the most important aspects of who I am and is one of the most fulfilling aspects of who I am, I will literally prioritize anything above doing my spiritual work. Well, still sometimes I'm trying to do that less, but I realized, I'm like, if my spirituality is what I value the most, then why is it my natural inclination to scroll on my phone for 15 minutes and then I'll go meditate? Spoiler alert, I don't. I get distracted and I go do other shit. Like, when you really honestly look at yourself and making those connections, rather than beating yourself up, being like, oh, yeah, no wonder I'm miserable right now. I'm not meeting my own needs. And I think that this person has not only not been meeting their own needs, but they've also been misunderstanding what their needs actually are. And I think that is such a mood too. Like, you know, sometimes I think we need things, and it's not that we actually need them, it's just we crave the familiarity and the safety of them, because it's uncomfortable to grow. And in your person's case, I feel like I really don't have to say who this is, because you know who this is if this is your group. And I feel like one thing that you don't know about them, though, is that they're capable of a lot more than they've shown you. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that in a good way. And I definitely think that they are going to do, like, all of their feelings are, and I guarantee this will be confirmed when we actually pull a tarot, they are committed to making things right. But I think there is also, they are afraid to face the reality of how their behavior may have hurt you. The fact that we have remorse and I'm too afraid to talk to you, I feel like your person is really struggling right now, because if you're a more spiritual person, you know, as the spiritual homies know, like, there are people that get it and there are people that don't. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But it can be kind of frustrating and isolating at times to not have someone spiritual to talk to, because it's like, if you can't even conceptualize what you're trying to convey, what is the point of even talking about it? You know what I mean? It's just going to lead to misunderstandings and frustration. And that's not a slight on people that aren't spiritual at all. It's literally just like a desire to connect in a way that they can't connect to yet, or they're not interested in connecting in, and that's totally fine. Not everyone needs to be spiritual. Like, it's to be human is to be spiritual. So I guess that in of itself is powerful. But in their case, I definitely feel like there were things that you told them in the past that they didn't understand, and they realize you're right. I feel like this person is having a hard time coming to terms with the fact that they've been a lot of their own problems, and that their actions do have consequences, and that they have caused harm. And I think that it's so important to, like, recognize as humans, like, we do harm each other. And sadly, sometimes it's intentional, but usually it's not. Like, you know, as much as I try not to, I can't avoid the fact that I may harm someone with this reading. It's not my goal, it's not my intention, I'm certainly not trying to, but I can't anticipate the needs of all of you and anticipate where all of your sensitivities lie. Does that make me an evil person? I don't think so. I feel like I'm doing my best, but to that person, they may feel that way, and they may make me the villain and the bully in their story, and they've shared with me, and that's fine, because it's their story to tell, and it's their right to believe what they want and grow and learn, because they serve me being that way as well. They teach me and they help me grow, and they help me accept what I can't control, and help me understand that even when I do my best, I'm not going to be able to help everyone. I'm not going to be able to serve everyone, you know? And I think that this person is going through this in a certain way where they're realizing, like, I failed the people that mattered most in a desire to appease the people that meant nothing to me. And that's so powerful, because I think this person is realizing, like, they chose junk food over nutrition. They chose the things that were good for their ego, that weren't good, but not good for their soul. And that didn't come because they just consciously thought, should I choose my ego or my soul? It came from deep pain and, you know, things that they've been through. And I think that they projected onto you this idea that you could never understand that, and that you could never go through, that you could never understand the experiences that they've been through, and that your perspective is the way that it is because, you know, you just haven't been through what they've been through. And sure, you know, we can't know what our perspective would be if we were walking in someone else's shoes. And that's why compassion and understanding is so important. But I feel like you extended that to your person in a way they didn't extend it to you. And now they're seeing the reality of their behavior and they feel very remorseful. And I think that this person does have a decent bit of pride and they really care about your opinion. They really care about you. And I feel like they are too afraid to be honest, because also by being honest and opening up this discussion, they're opening themselves up to more truth and more intensity and more awareness that they're not in control of. The themes of control have been really interesting here. And oh my God, you know what? It actually makes so much sense. Like, if the theme is drowning in feelings, you know, the people that are going to drown the most are the ones that refuse to swim with what is and go with the flow. You know, if they fight, if they resist their emotions, they're only going to get more powerful and they're only going to overwhelm them. That's cool. And this is an excellent example of how like just spirit works through you and like just the coolest things happen. And that really comes down to trust and trusting in this process. I wouldn't be here if I didn't trust in the process, and it has never failed me so far. And I think that you have to trust in this process. I wish I could sit down with you and like have like a cup of coffee or tea and just sit with you and tell you that everything's gonna be okay. Oh, I feel like I want to cry. Like, I wish I could give you guys a hug. I'm sure it's been hard, and you know, it is really hard being a spiritual person sometimes, and you know, just knowing that there's so much beauty and magnificence in the world, and not only is it challenging enough to keep seeing it, but to also have people see something completely different and not see what you see and not understand the way you look at things. Like, it is isolating and it is lonely, and it is such a gift to have these sorts of connections where you can talk about these deeper things, but this person isn't ready to talk about it yet. It's like they're seeing things now from a much deeper perspective, but it's like they can only handle so much light. And you know, this is actually something interesting that I've experienced as well, is like you have to, like, you can't just take an intense amount of light and truth all at once. Like, that is how you fry your energetic centers. Like, and there is a capacity of how much light someone can take before it's too much, you know? And I think, like, in their case right now, it's like the magnitude of these realizations that they're having are so much facing you and telling you the truth. That's even scarier, because then putting into words how embarrassed and ashamed they are of like the past versions of themselves, how remorseful they feel for the ways in which they failed you or believe they failed you. You know, with a thinking man being here, realizing that in believing they thought they knew what was right, they've been wrong, very wrong. And not only that, but they just have so much to ponder now. Like, their world has expanded so much just in these cosmic realizations that they've had. And I feel like they're very afraid to know more, because right now is so much. I don't blame them. I definitely think that they're integrating a lot of truth, and honestly putting into words and facing you and telling you, like, I feel so bad about what I did in the past, or I feel so bad about, you know, the person that I was. It would probably be very healing for them to talk to you about this, but I feel like there is still, their ego is wounded, their pride is wounded, because when you think you're right about something, and then the universe brings you a massive slice of humble pie and says, oh, hey, with peace and love, you were wrong. And actually, there's a much lighter and more loving way you could experience life and your connections and yourself. It's like, it's really crazy and disarming, because you want to be like, you have to go through the process of realizing like what you didn't know when you didn't know, and coming to terms and like accepting that. I guess if it's 2024 when you're watching this, then for your person, 2024 is the year of realizing things. But whatever year you're watching this in, it's the year of realizing things for this person. I definitely think that they're thinking about you so much, and it's just like, you know how you build something up in your head? Like, I do this with readings sometimes, where like this reading, for example, it took me like 2 weeks to get around to, because like I built it up so much in my head that I started overthinking it and getting like nervous. And so then I had to do something else, do another video in the meantime, just to like my union reading that I'm so proud of, that you should totally check out if you haven't, like took me 2 months to make, because I just like was so finicky with the details. And I think that that's how this person is, especially when it comes to wanting to do right and wanting to heal things, because I do think that's something they want to do. They know they need to heal themselves, but they also want to heal things with you. And I think right now it's just like they're drowning in the reality of what their actions have created, the reality of how their belief systems have affected their actions, the reality of the fact that they haven't been true to their heart, and in not being true to their heart, they caused you harm in some way. They hurt you. And maybe for some, they're afraid of you dogging on them and making it worse. But more than anything, I think that I would be willing to bet you feel compassion for them. I feel compassion for them, and when I'm trying to tap into your energy, I kind of feel the same thing. But it's also like, but because you're more like, it's real for you in a way that, you know, you're in it, you're part of it. So like everything is gonna, like the negative feelings associated with it, like those are gonna have to be yours to work through. And I think you've worked through a lot of it, and that's why you have a lot of compassion. But I definitely think that it's harder to see certain things sometimes when you're in it and when you're attached to it, because, you know, we can only see so much. Like, you know, if you read your own cards, for example, I find it much easier to read for other people than for myself. And when I read for myself, I often use like guidebooks and stuff after I read intuitively, because I feel like there's so much more there that I don't see. So I think that you are just as guilty of making assumptions about, you know, where this person is actually at, whether they care, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know if those are the truth. I think that those are projections that you have. And I think that's the thing, is like, it's a beautiful gift to have someone that can be a mirror, but it's a profound challenge to look in that mirror and be honest with yourself and say, okay, how do I grow? But it's very powerful. And I think that this person is drowning in the power of the reality that they're actually meant for, because it's not the reality their ego built them up to believe they were meant for. And they feel very vulnerable and scared right now. And there's also this fear of like, what if I've messed up? What if pile 4 is not interested in me anymore? It's like they're pondering everything. They're thinking about things in a whole new light, and they're integrating and processing their realities. Because like, I think that this person has always been aware that they've had feelings for you, but I think they're becoming aware of how profoundly deep their love is for you. And it's not even based in like a romantic, like I'm in love with you, but rather it's just like, I fucking love you. Like it's not because of anything that you are, it's just because you are. It's just because it is. Like and that's the thing about love, is that love is not something that we have to earn. It just is. It's the fabric of our universe, and it's the root of abundance. It's the root of what man thinks God is, it's what makes life worth it. And you're the realest thing they've ever had. And it's a painful thing to be exposed to what about them is fake, that they've been attached to. And God, my heart is racing. Like, I feel like you've experienced that as well. But I think because you've been in the position where, I don't know if you hurt this person, but it seems like they hurt you. So if it wasn't mutual, like, you also have the upper hand, at least in their mind, in the sense that, like, you didn't cause any harm to them. Like, you have every right to act and believe and be at whatever place you want to be with this. And I feel like they're very afraid to hear where you're at with things. And I also think they're afraid to hear the reality of how deeply they may have hurt you. Because I think that if they knew, they would have never done that. But I also think that they needed to do that for them to realize how, like, you shouldn't not want to hurt someone just because you care about them. You should not want to hurt people, period. But even I can't always live up to that expectation. Like I said earlier, I see someone's not treating you right, and I'm like, drop their address. Like, I will light a bag of dog shit on fire and ding dong ditch their house in Minecraft. I will Billy Madison them so hard. Or at least I would in my fantasies. In reality, I'm way too much of a pussy for that. But, you know, I would tell them to their face that they missed out on something good, and that I would probably come up with some elaborate story about how well you're doing, which I don't think it would have to be a lie. I think that I would just be, you know, going into great detail about how wonderful you are and how wonderful things are and how wonderful they are without shitty people in your life. Anyway, I wonder why that keeps coming back. I feel like this person, a lot of what they did that caused you pain was them trying to push you away because they felt like they couldn't be and give you what you deserved. But then in doing that, they hurt you anyway, and they also created way more pain for themselves. And then they realized on top of it, it's like, oh, I became attached to that way of doing things, and then made it an ego construct, and then made it a belief that this is who I am and this is how I am, when none of that is the truth. And all of this is, and all of these behaviors that I'm ashamed of and that I don't identify with are just, you know, products of my conditioning and products of my wounds. And I've just been being a flawed human. And I think that this person holds themselves to perfectionist standards. And so now they have to do the hard work of looking at themselves honestly and not resorting to shaming or beating themselves up about it. That's a hard thing to do. I literally had a realization the other day that, you know, I feel guilty sometimes when I don't prioritize my spiritual stuff. But I would tell any of you, if your mental health is bad, to not worry about that sort of thing and focus on your mental health. Sure, spiritual practice can improve your mental health, but if you're in a, like, it's not going to be better to your mental health if you don't have the energy or anything like that to actually do it. Or if you're in a bad place, like, it might actually have the opposite effect, and it might be less helpful. And yet I was holding myself to this different standard and being like, well, I should be doing this, and I should always be able to do that. And it's like, no, actually, you're still human and you have needs, and you're not going to be able to show up at 100% every time. And that's okay. And you're not going to be at 100% every time. And you're not going to be able to maximize every day. And that's okay. Not every day is meant to be maximalized. Sometimes doing nothing is the most healing thing you can do. And I think that sometimes these sorts of truths are so powerful, they are immobilizing. And I think that your person is really deep in thought and deep in realizing things about everything here. And it's honestly really fascinating peering into their psyche, because their psyche is such a beautiful representation, I think, of every human on this planet. Like, you know, we look for so many reasons why we're different. And sure, the semantics of our lives are different, but in reality, like a lot of aspects of the human experience are universal, and we're really not that different from each other. And that's one thing I love about these collective readings, is you come to realize there's so many more people going through the exact same things as you, and you didn't even realize it. And I also think that's an important thing. That's also why I take the time to talk about, you know, my shadows and the things that I go through, because I don't ever want you to think that, like, I just show up here and I'm like, let's read cards. Like, when I leave this table, I have 2 brain cells and I am doing my best just like everyone else. And I am just so human and so fallible. And so it's okay for you to be too. But let's go ahead now and start getting into the tarot and look at this more deeply. Because honestly, I think that, like, in terms of the feelings they're drowning in, it's a lot of, you know, uncomfortable emotion around the reality of their past behaviors and how that affected you, and how it feels to know that they affected you in that way. And also to realize how powerful and important and special you are to them, and, like, to feel like they're not even worthy of holding you. I'm thinking about the movie Aquamarine, which is, like, just such a good movie, like one of my favorite movies growing up. And the whole premise of the movie is about a mermaid trying to prove to their dad that love exists. And it's a bit silly, and of course it's childish, but it's a really good movie. It's like a good feel-good movie. If you want a movie, if you want a movie to watch that's just like good vibes, watch Aquamarine. It's such a good movie. I have even known, even like very manly men have enjoyed that movie. And I think that and that's the thing, is it's not meant, it shouldn't just be for the girlies, for girls. It should be for anyone, like, and it should be for everyone, actually. I think every human being on this planet should watch Aquamarine. Snubbed at the Oscars, honestly. I wish I could be like the little starfish earrings in Aquamarine and just tell you lovely things all day and be like, Pile 4 is so lovely. You make me so lovely by just being near such loveliness. Please go watch it. Do it for me. Okay, so let's see how they're processing these feelings. Spirit, how is Pile 4's person processing all these feelings? There we go. That is so real. I do want to ask really quickly though, like, what's in their heart? Like, can you expand upon these feelings that they have for Pile 4? Yeah, I mean, you're everything. You are like the light. Like, you are a source of light, a source of healing, a source of optimism, of hope. Like, you are the brightest star in the sky. Like, you are their North Star. Like, you are their Polaris. Like, you are everything. And so perfect. And they definitely put you on a pedestal a little bit, but there's this scene. I think the best way that I could describe this is there's this scene in one of the sequel Narnia movies, and I can't remember which one it is, but there's like this star being that comes down at some point and like engages with the protagonists, and one of the protagonists is like absolutely head over heels smitten as they're like watching this star lady talk. And while all of the like male protagonists in the group are looking at her with like desire, I'm pretty sure it was Prince Caspian. He's like looking at her with like these eyes of like love. Like, the actor did a really good job of just like showing this like intense desire and infatuation and like love. And I genuinely believe that love at first sight is a real thing. I think it's very rare. I haven't experienced it, but what I do know is that like anything is possible. And like I said, love just is. So if you want to understand how this person sees you, if you can find that scene from Narnia and pretend your person is Prince Caspian. I think it's Prince Caspian that's the one that looks that way. But I haven't seen the movie in a really long time. But that just the way that he looks at her is how your person feels about you. And I know it's an actor in a movie, but it fits. But let's go back to this with the Hermit card being here. Yeah, they are processing a lot right now. And it's very powerful. But you know what? They have you with them in this process. It's like your light has been so powerful in assisting them, but it's like they need, this is the type of person who needs to do things themselves. I don't know why, but like this Hermit card reminds me of like Plato or Socrates. And I wonder if this person is like studying philosophical concepts as a way to expand what they're learning. But I definitely feel like they're in a hermit mode right now, where they're really going within and sitting with everything that they've come to realize. It's like, now is not the time for them to be dynamic in the outside world. Now is the time to go within and start processing these powerful truths so that they can emerge from their cocoon a new person. I definitely think that they are processing this alone. I don't think that they are telling people about what they're experiencing, and they're certainly not going to tell you because they don't even know how they themselves feel about it. And I think that it's like, I am so afraid to tell, like, also I think telling you how deeply they feel for you and what they feel for you is something where when they admit that to you, you have power over them. And that's because they have a distortion. So this is interesting. So like, when I'm so deep in channeling, I'm channeling from their perspective. You have power over them. That's not true. And then that's where my rational brain come in and be like, actually, Ellen, that's not true. Actually, Pile 4's person, that's not true. Your power, and you can listen to this too, Pile 4, well, you kind of have to. Your power does not lie in how a person receives what you have to give. Your power lies in giving for the sake of wanting to and not worrying about how it'll be received. I mean, obviously, if you're trying to give something from a place of trying to do harm, like, don't do that. But, you know, if they disempower themselves, and that's one thing that they're going to have to come to realize is that they will continually disempower themselves so long as they believe that other people knowing about their emotions has power over them. Emotions are just data. And ultimately, I think that they are learning how to process this data more accurately and make more heart-centered decisions as a result. But this is major. Like, you guys, I can't stress to you enough, like, how important it is that they're in this hermit mode and that they are, you know, processing these things, because they really need to. And if you're in a hermit mode right now too, like, I think that could be a very powerful sign that you both are working on this in your own ways. And one thing you do know is after that big, like, I guess a lot of people describe having like a big spiritual awakening. For me, it was more just like the tap turning back on slowly. So it was like kind of gradual, but then also like, I can finally put words to these like deep feelings that I've had inside of me that have been denied and invalidated my entire life. I can start trusting in that again. Cool. But, you know, for your person, like, not everybody, I think it's actually probably more unique to be connected to it when you come down here. And so I think for a lot of people, it's natural and normal to just have like spiritual awakening the way it is, as like a powerful, like big, like, whoa. And that's what it is for this person. And in their case, like, these are big energies. These are heavy realities. And it's like they've really got to go within and listen to their own voice, because these truths have put them in a vulnerable position where if they listen to the wrong voice, it could cause real pain to them, whether they realize it or not. Because anyone, and I'm sure the vast majority of you know as spiritual people, like, there's nothing more painful than trying to share something from your heart and it being received by someone who does not have the wisdom yet to understand it or receive it in a way where they can be comfortable not understanding it, but trusting that if they're meant to, they will someday. You know, and I think that's one of the hard things is, like, you can't force someone to see things this way. They literally have to, they have to experience it themselves, and they have to have that perception themselves. Like, you really can't explain these deeper spiritual concepts if someone isn't attuned to it. And it's a vibe, you know what I mean? Like, it is kind of like an attunement. Like, it's a special pair of lenses that is rooted in such truth. Any other distortion will never be more fulfilling. And like, there will and even though those lenses may get clouded. You may get confused, and you may fall off the path for a time, or you may be disconnected for a time. You always come back to it. And when you come back, you got even way more powerful realizations to work through. Like, being consciously aware of your spiritual nature on this planet is such a beautiful and powerful gift. And part of the reason why we're all here is to share that with others. And not everybody is going to be able to receive that. And so, like what I just said, it's so heartbreaking to share these things and know that they can't be received, or that you can't break through this barrier of not understanding. Even though a lot of times the person on the receiving end wants to understand and wants to, engage with what you have to say. But it's, they're doing the best they can with the knowledge they have, and we all are. And we can get attached to how our messages are received. And I'm not just speaking in like a literal, like me tarot way, but like you, if you're talking to someone about, this spiritual thing that you experienced, and someone doesn't understand it, you might feel inclined to feel like it's less valid or it's wrong. And that's just not true. Like, it's just not everyone can receive and see things the same way, but that's okay. Like, the spiritual experience is deeply personal, and your person needs to process these things in a personal way before they can start sharing them, because they need to be clear on it before they share it. Does that make sense? So let's see why they're feeling this. Why are they feeling these deep, loving feelings? We have the Knight of Swords. Okay. I love this. They're feeling this because it's the truth, but they're feeling this so deeply because they've been avoiding the truth for a long time. Like, the Knight of Swords is so fierce, and actually it's interesting. In this deck, the Shark card represents deep truths and deep emotional truths that you may be avoiding. And I feel like the reason this person is feeling this way is, one, because they were very careless in the past, and they were very irresponsible, very flippant, callous. These are words that are coming to me. And they treated a precious flower with the aggression of a football player that's mad. I don't know why that's the example, but I think there are plenty of football players out there that can handle a flower delicately. I don't mean to generalize football players, the American kind or the rest of the world kind. But with this Knight of Swords here, it's like they're feeling all of this because they avoided the truth for a long time, and that avoidance of the truth made them say and do things that honestly kind of made them look like an ass, or just didn't align with what was true to them. And as a result, now they've got even more truths to integrate, and now they see the truth of maybe how immature and petty they were being in certain aspects. With this Knight of Swords here, like, the Knight of Swords is like one of the fastest moving energies in the deck. I would say, like, the Knight of Swords racing the Eight of Wands would be an interesting race. Like, those are very fast moving energies. And in your person's case, like, I think that for a long time they were running away from reality and running away from the truth. And a lot of these feelings are coming to terms with how they behaved in their attempts and endeavors to run away from the truth, to deny the truth, in order to affirm their own truth that suited their ego and that made them feel safe and that made them feel good. I feel like they're feeling this way because it's time to see things from a more truthful perspective, rather than from the perspective that they think is right, I think of this quote from it was a documentary about WeWork, and a woman in the documentary said, maybe it wasn't a woman, I don't know, someone in the documentary said, if you tell a 30-something-year-old man that he's God, he's inclined to believe you. And I'm not saying that this is a 30-year-old man at all, but I think that we can all fall prey to certain ideas about ourselves that really suit our ego and that really suit what makes us feel comfortable and what fits our comfort zone. And I think that your person is drowning in their feelings now because they've avoided them for so long that shark kicked their ass off and was like, you gotta go. Like, you gotta start swimming. Like, you gotta start dealing with this. And I think they have been, you know, with that Hermit here. But also, they can't deny the truth anymore. Like, the truth is so clear. And I think the thing is that, like, in terms of also becoming more careful with their words, they want to make sure they say things to you and speak their truth more authentically, because I think they're realizing that they haven't even understood their own truth. So how can they trust themselves? I'm really loving this reading. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I mean, not that I don't love all the readings that I do, but like, this person's just a well of beautiful insight, and like, I feel like I'm even learning from what insight they're gaining. So like, thank God they're in a hermit mode. It may be frustrating for you that they're in a hermit mode, but like, they're helping all of us by being in a hermit mode. So keep doing it, pile force person. Hermit it up. Anyway, let's see what they're gonna do about these feelings. Once Page of Pentacles. Okay, yeah, so this is gonna be very slow and steady with this person. But I just heard the word reparations. I feel like they're going to start rebuilding the bridge that they burned with you, or trying to set, maybe this has even less to do with you and more to do with, like, I feel like what they do for you is going to be different for each and every one of you, because you're all different. And this person has more wisdom on how to show up than I do, because it's going to be different for all of you. But what this person is actually already doing with this Page of Pentacles is they're setting foundations to be the person that they actually thought they were in the past, or the person that they thought that they were just naturally becoming. I feel like they've awakened to the realization that the person that they desire to be is not gonna come if they don't put in the work to do it. You know, it's so easy to put off like our idealized version of ourselves into the future. But this person is realizing, no, my power is here. You know, they're getting Eckhart Tolle with it. They're saying my power is in now. And with this Page of Pentacles here, I feel like what they're doing about it is beginning to plant the seeds to be the person that they know that they can be proud of. I also think that they're going back to basics. They're studying, they're growing, they're learning, and they're looking in different ways. And I feel like they want to be very gentle and slow and patient and methodical with how they deal with you. So I think that, like, for example, if this translated to direct action, I wouldn't be shocked if they start by just instigating more communication and asking to, like, see you. And I feel like they're going to keep things very cordial and non-romantic, because I think that the depth and emotional intensity between the two of you, just sitting in that is a lot. And also it makes it kind of hard to build strong foundations when you just dive straight into something. And so I feel like this person is wanting to build a foundation with you. It's like, yeah, I know your soul, but I don't know your human self. And like, we have to learn who we are in this lifetime. We have to learn, you know, what this is all about here. And I definitely think that your person is going to school and planning for their future, really actually starting to set the stage for becoming the person and living the life that they're actually meant for, not the life they thought they wanted. And they're going to do that methodically. They are going to do that with patience, and they're going to do that with trust in the process. It's not, they're not planning out 50 steps ahead. They're just planning like the first 5 steps. And they're just really focused on planting seeds and watching them grow. I also think they're really focused on their abundance right now. I think maybe part of this awakening was realizing that they were blocking themselves from abundance in some way. And abundance is many more things than just money, but that could also have something to do with it. But what they're going to do about it is grow and become a more reliable, more grounded, more practical, more generous, more caring, more nurturing, and more understanding person, not only for you, but for everyone. And I think that in your person's case, they feel like they have a lot of work to do. And so, and this is a very powerful and important message from their higher self to you. They don't ever want you to slow your life or slow down for them, or ever feel like you're waiting for them. If you feel like you're being held back because they're not showing up how you want them to, let go of that and recognize that as a distortion and say, how am I making my life smaller? How am I holding myself back right now? And how could I change that? They want to be on your level, and they know that that's going to require a lot of growth and work, but they're already doing it, very much so. And I do think like pages as an action are messages. And so I do think no matter what, they're going to be more communicative, especially as they get over the fear of speaking to you, and they get over and they start to forgive themselves. Because I think the thing is it doesn't matter how much you forgive them. If they can't forgive themselves, it's going to be very hard for them to show up, you know? So they're definitely going to be patient with the process. And honestly, I think in truth, they really don't know what they're going to do beyond the immediate present. And I think that's the best position for them to be in, especially if they're someone who is used to like making these grand plans, because I think they're realizing those grand plans stop life from happening, and that they need more spontaneity and they need more flexibility and practicality. So that's where they're going. And I think we all could take a lesson from that. But let's go ahead and see now why this reading found you. So why is pile 4 why was pile 4 meant to see this reading? Okay, yep, that makes sense. We have the Queen of Swords and the King of Wands. Okay, this Queen of Swords really reminds me of, oh shoot, I can't remember. Is her name Angelica Houston? Angelica Hutton? I don't know. She's in, I don't know. I could be wrong, but that's who I think of when I look at this card. But the reason why this reading found you is for 2 things. Number 1, to just validate everything that you've been experiencing and going through, and also give you context to what's happening behind the scenes that you may not see. I do think that there is a part of you right now that is assuming the worst, and maybe digging up old, maybe not digging up, but maybe telling yourself old stories about how this person feels about you and what you mean to them that are not helpful or truthful. But also with this King of Wands here, I feel like you've only been seeing half of the picture. And I feel like this King of Wands and this Queen of Swords, they could represent the 2 of you, but I want to interpret just like them as 2 aspects of self, because swords and wands are both masculine energies, and you could resonate with being in a more masculine energy right now. And in doing so, it's going to be harder for you to be more receptive to intuitive insight because you're focused on conscious action and making moves here. That's what this person was focused on, and things are shifting a little bit. And so it might be easier for you to fall into the trap of certain distortions around how this person feels about you, or fall into the trap of humoring certain insecurities about your worth or about what is happening here that are not only bringing you pain, but they're not the truth. In fact, what you see is only half the story. And for your person, like, okay, let's say if you identify, I feel like I'm getting your vibe more in the Queen of Swords, and you don't have to be a woman to be a Queen of Swords, but like, I feel like your energy is one where you see things more clearly if your person is a separate energy. And in that case, a King of Wands. I'm sorry, I probably wasn't holding that up for you guys. I was holding it up for myself. With this King of Wands energy, you may feel like they have everything to show up. And I think what you may not see is that they don't, and that's what they're working on. I feel like this reading was called to you because you're only seeing half of the picture, and I think that your ego is maybe getting in the way and telling yourself stories that are not only creating you pain, but creating division between the 2 of you that doesn't need to be there. You know, if you need to grow and have space and heal, like that's necessary. But I feel like you're taking things personally that are not personal at all. At least not towards you. Like what this person, like the lack of action that this person is taking towards you is not a sign of how they feel about you. It's a sign of what they're able to give right now. And if you have expectations on what you think they should be capable of giving, you know, expectations are premeditated resentments. So I'm not saying to have no standards and expect nothing, but I do think that your pride is getting in the way, and you might be feeling like you know better than the universe right now and know better than what should be happening, and you don't. You know, if things were meant to be hunky-dory and things were meant to be how you pictured them in your head, they would be, and you wouldn't even have to be consciously thinking about it. And I think there is a part of you that is starting to feel jaded because for some of you, you've been on this path for a little while, and it's hard. It's a hard path to be on, because to honor our truth in a sea of noise that's telling you different things, it's really hard to stand firm. But I really think that whatever insecurities or whatever beliefs that you have that are bringing you pain and that are bringing you fear and unease about this situation, those are the things that you need to be going within and looking at. And you really need to ask yourself, is this true? Or am I saying this? Or is me saying this to myself a product of my wounding or a product of my conditioning? With this here, I feel like you need to also recognize that you have an ego too, and that you have pride too. And that I'm sure there are things that you've been too proud to tell this person. I'm sure there are things that you are remorseful for, whether it's with this person or just in general. And I think what you're really being encouraged to do is whatever you're frustrated with this person about, or whatever you are taking personally from based on this person's behavior, ask yourself how you're disempowering yourself by putting it in this person's hands and in how this person responds. But also, how can you empower yourself and take your power back so that you're not bullying yourself or beating yourself up or telling yourself stories that aren't even true about this situation? There's a lot of love here, and there's a lot of powerful growth that I believe is ahead. But it also takes a lot of patience, you know? Pentacles are slow moving. But that doesn't mean, you know, would you rather... Actually, I'm not even going to ask you that. Whatever you choose is great for you, and everything serves. So you can't mess anything up and you can't do anything wrong, but you are human. And sometimes I guess you can do things that are like wrong, like, but then that goes back to, you know, what you believe in morality. But I definitely think that there's a lot that you're missing out on because you're not in your emotional body as much. You're in more of your like conscious, focused, building, practical energies right now. And I think that this reading came to you because I think that's where you need to be. I think you need to be in your masculine energy right now. You know, our masculine energy helps protect and support our feminine energy. And we all have both within us, contrary to what people with bigoted beliefs think. And we won't shame them for that, because they're doing that themselves. But, you know, we can't understand what we can't understand until we understand it. And I think in your case, this reading came to you because you needed to see and hear things from an outside source, not only to validate what you feel intuitively, but also to give you context so that you're not telling yourself these untrue stories, and to get you to look at yourself and say, man, I've really been making my life unnecessarily hard on myself. I've really been letting my ego get in the way. There's this beautiful SpongeBob meme that's like the ego when you're looking for it, and it's like SpongeBob hiding in a plant, and then it's like and then it's like the ego when you're not paying attention, and it's a picture of SpongeBob like breaking into Squidward's bathroom as he's taking a shower. And I think it's very true. Like, Ego is a slippery bastard and is always working to keep us in our comfort zone. So and honestly, and your ego is not something to hate. It's part of your human experience, and it's part of what gives you the gift of having a self and understanding things through a separate lens of the external collective. But it's not the whole truth. And in fact, oftentimes it's not the truth at all. And it's telling you something that's completely untrue, that's affecting your well-being, and it doesn't need to. So don't assume the worst. Don't assume you know what's happening. Don't jump to conclusions. But instead, look at how you're using your power, how you're using your energy to disempower yourself, and how you can take it back. Because that's going to be really important. And the further you empower yourself, the less you will be afflicted by how your person shows up. And rather than having this expectation of how they're going to show up, there's just acceptance of whether they do or they don't. You're doing you no matter what. So with that being said, I would be willing to bet your guys is the longest, but man, it's been so fun to channel. And the time flew. Oh my gosh, yeah, an hour 3. You guys are just so interesting. There's just so much here. So we're going to go ahead and finish off with your guidance before we go into the extended. And the extendeds have been so fun. So if you want to meet me on Spice Island, I would love to have you there. But if not, I'm just grateful you're here. So to start, we have single-mindedness. Choose your own path and what is best suited to you. So yeah, this is me going back to even what your person's higher self was saying is don't make choices and decisions based on what you think you should do. Make decisions based on what lights you on fire and what makes you excited and what makes your heart happy. You know? Don't push life away out of the belief that life will only happen once this person is with you in the way that you're wanting. Life is already happening, whether you like it or not. How can you embrace and enjoy it now? And how can you be unapologetic about what you want? And if that's just one person and you don't want anyone else in your life, you don't want to explore, that's fine too. But have conviction in it and don't beat yourself up for it. It can be very hard though, you know, there's a lot of pressure and like there's a lot of really shitty dating advice out there that's like, just move on and just like, and that doesn't really help anything. It usually creates more mess. But sometimes more mess is what we need to wake up. Like, even in the worst decisions we can make, there's growth and wisdom in that. And yeah, really everything serves, and you need to do what serves you. Not what serves this person, not what serves other people, what serves you, what serves your heart, and what serves your well-being. The more you focus on that, the easier it will be to surrender and release your fears about the situation. We have the pearl, alchemy, the reward at the end, from grit to grace. Yeah, so you both are undergoing a process of alchemy right now. And I think the pearl is a pure, beautiful, shared experience of true unconditional love with another person. But in order to get there, your human selves need to be refined enough to hold that frequency. And so, for example, something that's happening right now, if you are able to sustain, you know, a feeling of unconditional love for this person, which you shouldn't even have to sustain it, really more so just tap into it. Or ask to feel it, because the energy of, anyway, that, just because you're capable of holding it for a time doesn't mean you'll always be in it, you know what I mean? And so in your case, these frustrations that you're dealing with and experiencing, these conclusions that you're jumping to, the assumptions that you're making, those are all things that are in the way of you embracing unity consciousness and unconditional love, not just with another person, but on a cosmic level where you understand that all is love. Even the things we can't understand and even the things that we don't like. The things that are making you uncomfortable, the things that are making you feel powerless, the things that are making you feel like shit right now, those are the things begging for your love and attention and to be seen. Because when you alchemize those things, when you get to the truth behind them, not only can they not bother you the way they once did, but you'll also be able to see it in others, hold compassion, hold space for it. And you'll also be more accepting of when these things arise, because you'll understand that they're not defects that reflect the truth of your worth. They're just realities of being a human person and the complexities that come with that. You know, our brains are very powerful, and there's so much we still don't understand about them. So give yourself some grace. We have lunar waters. Okay, I'm gonna read that because I don't know what that is referencing, but I have to find the book, and I literally made the intention to find it for your group. Ah, here it is. Because I couldn't find it for the last group, and I wasn't just gonna sit there and be like, oh, where's it? I suppose I could have just edited that later, but you know me, I would have forgotten, and then like someone would be like, you're not editing. Anyway, there's always someone going, and you just have to heal the things within you that are bothered by that. I'm currently working on it. Okay. Living by the moon, natural rhythms, graceful feminine flow. I tune into the cycles of the moon. I honor the ebb and flow of energy. And that's one thing, like, where we just start, like, the fact that you're in a more masculine energy right now, like, if you feel like you're not yourself in certain ways, it could be because you're leaning into your masculine energy. And I think that that happens not necessarily consciously, but it's just like we learn to generate the energy of what we need. And masculine energy is so awesome because, like, oh, it can just feel so empowering and just help you get so much done, and like just feel like, and it can really just help you feel like safer in yourself. But it comes at times at the expense of being able to slow down and listen to your wisdom. So I definitely think Spirit is saying, let's rebalance things. The Divine Mother smiles upon us as the beautiful crescent, as the beautiful crescent moon. From her mouth, a cascade of light codes pour into the ocean, fertilizing it with nourishment and wisdom. Since time immemorial, her silvery grace has been guiding the steady evolution of life on Earth. As our closest celestial companion, the gravitational pull of the moon determines the length of the day and the seasons. Without her gentle influence slowing Earth's spin, raging winds would have ravaged the planet. Her hypnotic dance draws the tides, distributing nutrients throughout the oceans. As the tuner of natural rhythms, the moon shares an intrinsic link with all of life on Earth. Her breath cradles our reproductive cycles and rouses our inner ocean. After all, our bodies are 80% water. The tides of our emotional and spiritual energies follow this magnetic push and pull during the lunar cycle. The potency of her life can inspire poetry or lunacy. So I guess one thing before we finish reading is to pay attention to like the phases of the moon and how you feel, especially like what sign the moon is in. And maybe if you want to, try to sync up your cycles of healing with the cycles of the moon. So like new moons are often about new beginnings, manifesting. Full moons are often about release. But also you can just do whatever the hell you want, whatever feels right. Single-minded, baby. If it feels right to you, then it ain't wrong. This card encourages you to explore a feminine way of living by flowing with the moon and other natural cycles. New moon is a time of gestation and rest when energy ebbs and we plant hopeful seeds of intention. We gain I should have just read this. We gain momentum as the waxing crescent begins to swell. The full moon amplifies everything, which makes a potent window for manifestation. Oh, see? And then I even got that wrong. Well, but see, then here's the thing. I think that like you can manifest whenever the fuck you want. Like, the moon doesn't have to be in a special place. The moon can amplify energies, and the moon can be assistive and supportive, but like the moon could be doing circles and you could choose to manifest. Like, it really doesn't matter. Like, you're a creator being and you have free will. Yes, there are external energies that influence what's outside of you and influence your inner rhythms, but with the power of your own will, you can do some crazy fucking shit. So yeah. Full moon amplifies everything, which makes it a potent window for manifestation. As lunar light wanes to balsamic, it is auspicious to complete projects and release what no longer serves our highest good. You may also find moon bathing, basking in moonlight, to be grounding and healing. Ooh, I should try that. The ancient practice replenishes our feminine energy, restores our internal cycles, and opens our intuition to receive psychic downloads. Refer to ritual work in this chapter, in this book, for more inspiration. So this is the Ocean Dreams Oracle if you're interested. But I think that this is an excellent reminder for you in embodying this wonderful masculine energy to not lose your feminine in the process. And this situation needs a touch of feminine grace. You know, you have to ebb and flow with what is in the energy. You can't force things. And maybe your masculine energy has been trying to make things happen between you and your person, and has been trying to take action. And maybe this person has been like thwarting it, or, you know, just hasn't been receptive, and you've been taking that as rejection of you. But it's more so like, no, I can't. Like, I literally can't. And I think that the more you accept and surrender and release how you think things need to happen, and instead just be open and intuitive and go with the flow and trust what your intuition tells you, I think that will bring you a lot more peace and acceptance. You don't have, like, you're doing great. If you need a roadmap of where to go, it's inside of you. Yeah, we have surrender your desire to control people. Being over-controlling can sabotage relationships. To more effectively achieve your goals, back off, regroup, and give the situation some breathing room. Exactly. So, you know, you may not feel like you're trying to control your person, but you may be trying to control the outcome in the situation, and you may be trying to control how fast things go. And, you know, we all need different time, and also it's disempowered to try to control someone else. Like, you know, true power is allowing them to show up in whatever way they wish and accepting that, and knowing that your power lies in how you respond and receive that. So I feel like Spirit is saying you can't control the situation, and you certainly can't control this person. And I don't think you are consciously trying to do that, but it does seem like you're trying to get a sense of control in this situation, when really you're just meant to accept that things are out of your control. They're out of your hands. And that's the beautiful thing about spiritual connections, is that gives so much space and room for spirit to work its magic. And the thing is that the universe needs you to be open and receptive, because when you are meant to take action, the universe is going to give you that impulse. It's like they just want you to chill in the ocean until the perfect wave comes and you can ride it. You don't need to make the wave. You literally can't make your own waves. You have to trust the motion of the ocean. Can't wait to go to Spice Island in the extended, but you have to trust the flow of the ocean, and because you're at its mercy. And to truth be told, both of you are at this connection's mercy, in the sense that you can't control what it brings up in you, how you experience it, and what it's asking of you. All you can do is respond to it the best you can with the knowledge you have, and give yourself the grace to know that you've done the best that you can. But you're doing great. And I think that the best thing you could do is maybe just beat yourself up less, and ask yourself what maybe you've been missing in the recent past and present moments that you haven't seen because you've been focused on what hasn't been happening, rather than you've been experiencing right under your nose. Whew. That was a good one. That felt good. Pile 4. I'm gonna move over to the extended now. It's 18 plus. We're getting spicy. It's gonna be really fun. I really hope you meet me over there, but if not, it's absolutely okay. Thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for letting my ads play in the background while you do something else. I'm not a monster. I don't expect you to watch them, but like, just letting them play is so helpful to me. So thank you to everyone who does that. If you'd like to support me in other ways, liking this video is super helpful. Commenting down below and letting me know how it resonates is super helpful. Subscribing, very helpful. Shout out to my Entra squad and my notification squad. I love you guys so much. And I love all of you guys, like whether you're part of a squad or not. Other ways to support me, you can check out my candles. Be sure to use code ASO10. You can check out my merch. You can check out my social media. But that's all I have. So thank you guys so much for watching and for letting me read for you. I hope that you enjoyed this reading, and I hope you all have a wonderful day or night whenever it is that you're watching this video, and I hope you'll come back and see me again soon. Bye!